Thank you for staying. Let's settle for the news now. And the Consumer Protection Agency is asking the National Communications Authority and the Ministry of Communication to investigate the sale of SIM cards that are already registered. Chief Executive Kofi Kapito says some individuals are using the personal details of people with or without their permission to register SIM cards and are selling them on the open market. He believes this is a security threat and must be dealt with immediately.
The CPA heard that some SIMs are being sold on the market already registered to people's identification. And we felt it was not possible. But upon our investigation, we've managed to secure some of these SIM cards. We would like it to also go extra mile, get the security agencies involved. If you arrive at Kotoka Airport, some people are there selling you pre-registered SIM cards. Circle, that is an open market. We bought 15 from Circle. We bought some just across the street from my office. Some at Kotoka Airport. The same first day that we went, they sold them to us at 10 cedis. Second day it was 15. The third day it was 20. So the more demand is put on it, the higher the price go. And these are people, I don't know where they sit, but if you go to Circle, if you go to these places that I have spoken about, you will be able to get a SIM which is not your name. Because you shouldn't get a SIM that is not in your name. I have managed to purchase or get a SIM card registered to him. It's pure national security issue. Because the same thing that we are trying to fight, that we want to identify people behind mischiefs. If we can identify them, then did we, as the Ghana would say, did we call, did we come? So it is a national security, all security agencies should be serious about it. The minister and the NCA should be up and doing the telcos because it is their business.
Well, from that SIM card development, family of Mohammed Idrisu, popularly known as Kaka, who was killed in Nigeria, is alleging government is intentionally frustrating them with the prosecution of Kaka's brother, Idi Mohammed. Idi Mohammed was named as a suspect or a lead suspect by the police in the killing of the social media activist. The family says prosecutors have since March 2022 failed to show up even once in court to argue their case. According to spokesperson for the family, Nafiu Mohammed, it is a strategy to frustrate and disgrace the family.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Nafiu Mohammed. I am a cousin of Machu Kaka and the spokesperson for the family. How wicked can we be? How more do you want to destroy our family? How more do you want to destroy our family? Over the past 16 months, since Idi was arrested together with those who killed Kaka, the prosecutors have not stepped in court even once. Just yesterday we were at court and no prosecutor was in court. We have been attending court every single day and yet the prosecutor does not even bother to show up. What kind of justice system is this? What more do you want from us? What more do you want from us? When is enough enough? This must stop. This victimization must stop. We are nothing but a poor family. We are nothing but a poor family. Enough is enough. This attempt to use government officials to smuggle Idi out of this country in order to accuse him of running away shows your wickedness. All you care about is your PR and propaganda. Shame on you all who are involved. May Allah deal with you as He considered appropriate. I re-echo that statement. May Allah deal with any individual as He considers appropriate. May you never get away with the pain and suffering you have caused my family entirely.
Well, Chief Justice Kwesi Nene-Yeboah is assuring Ghanaians of his commitment to uphold the integrity of the judiciary. He says his administration is devoted to delivering quality justice services to Ghanaians. He wants professionals in the justice delivery sector to work towards correcting poor public perception about the judiciary in recent times.
The Chief Justice was addressing the first quadrennial Delegates Congress of the Senior Staff Association of Judiciary Service of Ghana after it broke away from the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana in 2018. The association includes court clerks, interpreters, registrars, and bailiffs. The 5-day conference is themed Promoting Efficiency in Justice Delivery, the Role of Staff and Management.
I wish to draw your attention to the fact that our services constitute public goods, and as staff of the judicial service, you cannot remain insular and detached from the regular accountability demands made of the judiciary. In other words, you need to understand from the outset that as public entities, I am referring to both the judiciary and the judicial service, the general public have a stake in terms of our competency, efficiency, and institutional integrity. Therefore, as Chief Justice, and I speak for management too, I welcome constructive dialogue and informed suggestions that have the potential of endangering growth and efficiency in justice delivery. Management is determined to build a trustworthy and robust institution, as can be clearly gathered from the various reform initiatives underway. We cannot enhance our efficiency in the justice system without the application of ICT solutions, which with specific focus on the courts in particular, and you, as staff, must ensure that these interventions work, because we must be abreast with what is going on in other jurisdictions.
Justice Nene-Yeboah implored association members to commit to good work ethics and strive for excellence.
On this note, I entreat the leadership of both unions, USAG and SAJU, to collaborate at all times to achieve their collective interests as stipulated in the labor regulations of 2003. I charge both unions to endeavor to work together in unity and avoid unnecessary rivalry and friction to create a healthy working environment. For it is said, in unity is strength.
National President of SAJU, Marilyn Suta, called on the Chief Justice and the judiciary to motivate long-standing and hard-working staff at the Ghana Judiciary Service.
Judicial staff are faced with several challenges in the course of executing our daily tasks. Notable among them are limited resources, the deplorable state of some of the courts, inadequate capacity building programs for staff, and the absence of award schemes for hard-working and long-serving staff. Due to the peculiar nature of our jobs, most staff of the service, especially the court staff, are unable to seek other job opportunities elsewhere because the knowledge acquired in the courts are not applicable in other institutions except those that may be legally inclined.
In response, Justice Nene-Yeboah acknowledged workers are entitled to decent wages and management must ensure staff are adequately motivated to execute their duties satisfactorily. Clinton Yeboah's report for JoyNews.
Well, on our next story, some students at the Mechanical Engineering Department of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have developed a relatively cost-effective digital instrument for measuring temperatures of the surroundings and light energy from the sun. The instrument is designed to ease the daunting and expensive task of students accessing readily available digital instruments for such purposes. Love FM's Emmanuel Bright-Kweku interacted with the students.
The annual energy output and effectiveness of solar photovoltaic systems may gradually reduce due to heat and other environmental factors. Thus, the need for scientific measurements to deepen the understanding of the global change to better design and size PV systems for enhanced performance and economic benefits.
I'm Ceci Ebenezer, and we came up with the Arduino program for the instruments.
I'm Fiamma Sylvester.
I'm Kelvin Amokwando, and we did the fabrication of the instruments.
My name is Abdul Rashid Tahir.
And I am Andy Abekusei. We came up with the design of the final concept.
Andy Abekusei explains the motive for the instrument.
We realized that in Ghana, it's a challenge for students in tertiary and secondary institutions to have access to instruments that is able to measure parameters such as solar irradiance, temperature, humidity, and airflow. Existing instruments that are used to measure these parameters are very expensive, and there are no locally manufactured ones, therefore they have to be imported from outside.
Under the supervision of Professor George Yao Obeng, the user-friendly and multimetric prototype instrument was developed employing a solar cell and other locally acquired components.
Ambient temperature is just the temperature of the surroundings, and the solar radiation is the energy from the sun that is being incident on this surface. And here the surface is a PV cell. So this is a DHT11 to measure the ambient temperature. This is a PV cell to measure the solar irradiation. And this is a 9-volt battery to power our instruments. And this is a USB port to help us connect our instruments to the computer. This is an LCD screen that displays the temperature values and the solar irradiance values. The DHT11 senses the ambient temperature, and the PV cell senses the solar irradiance. These signals are in the form of analog, and they are being converted from analog to digital by the help of microcontrollers inside this instrument. So these digital signals are now serve as the output in the form of temperature readings in degrees Celsius and irradiance readings in watts per meter squared.
When fully developed and commercialized, this device will be locally available and accessible at a relatively lower cost to universities, high schools, and STEM schools for scientific study and capacity development.
One may like to know what's the difference between our instruments and the already existing ones. So first of all, our instrument is cost effective, it's easy to operate, it's resistant to corrosion, and it's accessible. And the accuracy of the temperature sensor is plus or minus 2 degrees, and the accuracy of the solar irradiance sensor is 20 watts per meter squared.
This would facilitate the design and sizing of renewable energy systems, particularly solar PV systems, for local electricity generation for households and industrial use. For JoyNews, Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reporting.
Now, the Ghana National Association of Teachers has lamented the delay in the release of the Social Security National Insurance Trust and Tier 2 pension contributions by government. Ho District NAT chairperson Rose Tipong Asari says contributions have not been released to the fund managers for about 6 months. Speaking at a ceremony to commemorate World Teachers' Day, she asked the Finance Ministry to release the funds quickly.
The World Teachers' Day, which was established in 1994, commemorates the signing of the 1966 UNESCO ILO recommendation. This has to do with the status of teachers identified as the standard-setting instrument. Members of the Ghana National Association of Teachers in the Ho Municipality, Ho West, Adakulu and Agotime-Ziope districts gathered at the NAT Hall in Ho to commemorate the day. The Ho Municipal NAT chairperson, Rose Tipong Asari, appealed for the release of the SNIT and Tier 2 pension contributions.
Our pensions are very, very important for us, and so we beg the employer to release the funds to the fund managers so that at the end we can get something when we retire. That is our blood, that is our sweat. So we are only pleading with government that they release those funds for the managers to manage so that at the end the teacher will smile during retirement.
The Member of Parliament for Agotime-Ziope, Charles Agbeve, asserted that stakeholders are only focused on logistical development in the education sector, neglecting the teacher.
Today, the role of stakeholders in education all seems to look at the child, textbooks, books, computers, classroom environment. What about the person at
the center. So now parents are not even remembering the teacher. Every chips compound we build, we make sure we put accommodation for either the midwife or the in charge, for someone to be there. But today we put up classrooms, and where the teacher will stay there, one is secondary. It's not even secondary. It's far somewhere.
As we celebrate World Teachers Day, governments across the world, including Ghana, are encouraged to manage their economies to benefit workers and teachers. The economic environment with uncontrolled exchange rate volatility, high inflation, and low production of staple foods can erode disposable income and negatively affect teacher commitment, dedication, innovation, and productivity.
The Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, emphasized the government's commitment to improving the working conditions of teachers.
Government will continue to ensure that conditions of teachers are improved significantly, not only to motivate the existing teacher force, but also serve as a catalyst to attract more skilled and dedicated persons into the profession. We all need to continue to have faith in the government, especially the president and the NPP, in order that all our objectives can be fully achieved.
Well-deserving teachers from the whole municipality, Ho West, Adaklu, and Agotime Ziope districts were awarded for their distinguished dedication to service. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Ho.
Well, the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Savannah Agricultural Research Institute, and the African Agricultural Technology Foundation have visited demonstration fields in the northern zone to engage farmers on trial cowpea varieties, the pot borer resistant Maruka cowpea, that is a PBR. The breeders have been engaged to produce the new cowpea to be released to farmers. The visit was also to look at the characteristic of the new variety and the conventional cowpea.
Areas the team visited were Pasingpe in the northeast region and Tumu in the upper west region. Speaking to the media, a plant breeder at CSIR Siri, Gloria Adezibra, said the pot borer resistant cowpea has multiple resistance to root rot disease and also an improved drought tolerance over the conventional one. Its other traits, she said, were early maturity, large seeds, and fast cooking.
You know, cowpea is very important in the northern part of Ghana, and we have areas in northern part of Ghana where cowpea is greatly cultivated. So in selecting a site, when you want to reach a lot of farmers, you look at where your product is being well received and well loved. So in our site selection, we look at where we can get a lot of farmers who are into cowpea production, because this is a product of a cowpea. A good thing about PBR cowpea is that it is not totally a new variety that is coming out from somewhere. The product that we are bringing out, the conventional aspect of the cowpea was released in Sari, known as Songotra. Songotra has gone far and wide in Ghana. It is cultivated both in the north and parts of the southern part of Ghana. So the difference in the PBR cowpea and conventional Songotra is that the PBR cowpea is having that trait that helps it to protect itself against the attack of the pot borer insect, that is the Maruka.
A stewardship manager for African Agricultural Technology Foundation, Onyekachi Francis Nwanko, said they are introducing an anti-counterfeiting mechanism to protect its market base.
We know because of the efficacy of the performance of the product, some people may try to counterfeit it. And so that's why we are trying to put in some anti-counterfeiting procedure to help prevent that ahead of time. So in Nigeria, what we did is to use a system of scratch code, putting the power to verify the authenticity of the seeds in the hands of the farmers. So we put this scratch code in the seed packet. such that at the point of purchase, the farmer can scratch it and follow the guideline and text the numbers. Immediately he or she gets a feedback that says the seed is authentic or not, and then he can pay.
A farmer, Haruna Ali, who spoke to JoyNews, said he was excited about the new variety.
So from planting, we've realized that from day one, after germination, we've realized that the teaching, which is the transgenic material, it has vigorous growth. The germination was at least 99% as compared to the rest. And apart from the germination, we've realized that when it got to flowering and podding, that one is giving us more number of pods as compared to the other three varieties. You know, farmers, we are into production because of yield. And if you have good yield, it will really translate to income. So we are seeing that that new variety, which is the transgenic variety or the GM material, the GM cowpea, is giving us a lot of promising traits. And we feel that at least when it is approved and it is well adopted, it will increase cowpea production. And by so doing, at least there will be food security in the nation, and farmers will also have some cash in it.
And on that latest cowpea variety, we cap off the news. Up next, the news review. Do stay. Thank you for staying with us. Time now for us to dig into the papers now. We're joined by Bridget Jogbe-Nuku, of course, one-time presidential candidate for the PPP, and one who shares her thoughts freely on matters of socio-economic concern and national life. Bridget, a very good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm well. It's been a while. How have you been?
Fine, thank you. And you?
Great.
I was away for a bit, but I'm back.
Great.
Thank you for having me.
Usually when I start off the conversation with you in the news review, I like to focus on the economy because you're a business person. I noticed how recently the owner of FC Cosmetics spoke about how she had lost, 80% of her business, basically. She had had to shut down some branches, let go of staff, about 70% of them, and all of that on the back of the economic downturn. How has your business fared?
Well, my business is based on farm produce. It's agribusiness. So, yes, what has happened is prices have shot up incredibly because I bring the produce from the Volta region, or the products from the Volta region, and it's packaged here. Transport costs have risen astronomically, and that by itself has affected the price. Apart from that, the product itself has seasons, and it's out of season right now, so you get it in little bits, in drips and drops, as I say, because it's oil. And because of it's not in season, the current price of our locally produced palm oil is almost matching the price of the imported, which is not a good thing. It's difficult. It's difficult. Yeah.
Well, and I suppose that has impacted your pricing as well.
Of course. I think one of the times that I was on here with you and you were talking about prices, I said that I was underpricing myself, which I was, because I was trying to keep it within the means of everybody who wanted to use Jomi palm oil. But I can't anymore. I'll be running a benevolent society or, a charity if I did that. I'd be running into losses all the time. So I've got to make my prices match or at least cover my cost, and then with a little margin. And my prices will definitely have to go up.
It is what it is, I guess. Reality kicking in.
It is. Thankfully, all my customers understand that it's the lay of the land. That's the way it is. And that's the way it's going to have to be.
That's the way it's going to have to be. Let's get into the Daily Graphic newspaper. We'll start from there. And NADMO goes to aid of Wager flood victims. I'm sure you've heard and pictured here. You would see some people in canoes and all of that. You would think it was a river of sorts, but we're talking about our brothers and sisters in the Wager area, of course. Tetegu, Oblogo, English Yamanfro, all those places, many of them affected. We'll bring you some details of that. Giving up on Galamsey fight not option, that's according to Mr. President. It appears some people say we're simply not doing enough, especially in respect of those who may be walking the corridors of power and how they themselves are seen to be dabbling in Galamsey. Foremost among them, Akonta mining, which some say is tied. In fact, it has been established to be tied to the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP, Chairman Wuntumi. Some are waiting to see whether the president will be able to crack the whip as he says all of this. But there's also that countdown to the Mondial that is also there. Let's quickly get into those two stories. So the Galamsey one first. On a busy day in Kumasi yesterday, while seeking to court support for the fight against illegal mining, aka Galamsey, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo declared that giving up the fight against the menace was not an option. Consequently, he appealed to traditional leaders to join hands with him to protect the environment and warned that any of his appointees found to be involved in Galamsey would not be spared. The president said this in separate meetings with the National House of Chiefs and DCs of 90 districts in 5 regions where illegal mining is active. The president first met with the members of the NHC and made one major request, quote, seek your assistance to take partisan political interest out of the fight against Galamsey. He said 80% of the land in the country continued to be under the authority of chiefs, with the remaining 20% held in trust by the president. I found this rather interesting that, 80% of the land in the country continues to be under the authority of the chiefs, with the remaining 20% held in trust by the president, because the Constitution talks about the fact that it is to be held in trust by the president. It doesn't talk about traditional rulers. In any case, the traditional rulers, like we've heard the Asantehene in recent times say, have washed their hands of any blame. They say political leadership is to blame. I don't know what you make of all of this, Bridget.
Well, I found it a bit ironic, I must say, because indeed, as you have said, the chiefs hold the land in trust. But if, for example, I go and buy land, who gives the land title? I don't get a land title from a chief.
Right.
When people have decided to go and mine in a certain area and apply for a certificate or a license to mine, the license doesn't come from a chief. It comes from the Minerals Commission. And yesterday I read something that Manasseh Azure had written. And it was exactly that. We cannot be blaming the chiefs. And we have, in fact, found out that this Galamsey issue is actually in the hands of some of the political gurus. Now, I think it was CDD that ran a survey or a research on political campaign financing, and found that a lot of the financing was actually coming from illicit. And I must say, Galamsey, illicit finance, it was illicit financing. And a part of it was, yes, from either the Galamsey business or people who were involved in that and could finance the party so that they could take their pound of flesh back. My party is not involved in that. Let me say the Progressive People's Party, no. But that is it. And I don't think that we should play ostrich and bury our heads in the sand. This Galamsey menace is killing Ghanaians, literally, practically, literally. It's killing Ghanaians. And we know this. And we cannot start shifting blame. I mean, I keep saying, and I say on social media all the time, let's not shift blame. Let's take responsibility. It's easy to say, oh, it's not me, it's that person, or it's not me, it's this other person. But if you're in charge, and you must take responsibility. I'll tell you what, I was thinking about this program this morning, and I was saying, the president says he's made a promise to God to build him a cathedral. But on your blind side, if it is on his blind side, your God's land, God's earth is being desecrated, is being destroyed, is being distracted by people who are answerable to you. I mean, you cannot be building an edifice to what? To the benefits of what or who? And then the basic creation that is for the use of humanity, earth, water, trees, you are presiding over the destruction of these things to the detriment of the same humanity. It can't be. So let's not turn a blind eye or say you want evidence. You cannot be looking for evidence. The evidence is right there. We see it. You know, we cannot say if we don't admit it, then it doesn't exist. It exists. And everybody can see it. And we can't start to blame the chiefs right now. Yes, the chiefs might be selling some of the lands to some people, but at the end of the day, we give licenses, we give certificates. And where does it come from? It comes from government. So, no, you can't blame the chiefs.
And I see that Manasseh tweet you were referencing. He talks about the fact that all of that was a joke of a meeting. And there are many who think along those lines.
Say, there's a lot of window dressing. There's a lot of show on the surface, PR. And all that. Yesterday I was thinking, I said the president is, let me just hold my words there. But when you say something is for show, it's never, it's only skin deep. It's only superficial. We're only doing things to cover up and not going deep enough to address the issue. I mean, going to say this and shifting blame does not solve the issue. The galamsey is still going on and people are dying, Anyway.
I wish we could put this. It's on our Facebook, JoyNews Facebook, page. And the other day, Erastus Asaridonko, my colleague, who recently put together a documentary, Destruction for Gold, he brought samples of various water bodies, rivers in our country. I don't know whether you've seen that. I would have wanted us to maybe put it on the screen this morning. We'll try to get it. It broke my heart. Before that, my own colleague, Kafui Day, had also gone to, I think, the Pra River, and it looked like carrot juice. I actually joked about it, that it looked like carrot juice.
Yes,
now, you look at the different samples, and it breaks my heart. Now, experts have said that it will take as long as 100 years. That is, if galamsey were to stop today, and we didn't touch the water bodies, it would take about 100 years, 10 decades, before they can be restored to anything close to what they were before we started polluting them. And yet the pollution is not stopping. It is just heartbreaking. But, and like you say, for me, the political will, the power of the state is vested in the president. The land, the natural resources of our country are vested in him to do something about, to protect, like you said. And I don't know whether that protection is happening. And even worse, we see people in the party doing all of this.
It's quite disappointing to I mean, I had hoped that he would have actually taken responsibility and said, I'm going to deal with it. He said it before. But now that you are saying it's you, the chiefs, I'm thinking, where do we start from? It means that we're not about to do anything about this situation. And you see, I keep saying that profit is not everything. There's got to be humanity. Think about the human beings first. But no, all we want is profits and political expediency. We do not want to think about the common Ghanaian. Recently, I came up with a slogan. I said, my favorite slogan is this: to be Ghanaian, you must suffer. And that's what it seems like it was going on everywhere. Ghanaians are suffering. And no, we just need to either break the eight or make lots of money. We can't continue like this. Ghanaians are suffering.
Well, quite a situation there. But we'll do the best we can under the circumstances. Let's also look at.
I think that the media should continue to, hammer on this issue of galamsey. We, as well as everybody, I was listening to one of your ads before you came.
Right.
And I heard it was a lady's voice who said, it seems like whilst everything is going wrong. And I said, what is everything is going wrong? Say it as it is. Mention it by name and, deal with it.
And indeed, we have to. But look, the fight, from our point, I don't know about the other, media houses, but if you follow the trajectory of what we've been doing over time, you would know that we are committed to this and we will continue on this trajectory till something massive happens. But let's get into that other story. NADMO goes to aid of Wager flood victims. That story is on page 20 of the Daily Graphic newspaper. So the National Disaster Management Organization has established that about 2,000 people have been affected directly by the flooding at Wager. Communities close to the Wager Dam, including Wager Oblogo and Tetegu, have been submerged by loads of water after the Ghana Water Company Limited opened the 5 spill gates. So initially we thought 4, but the 5 spill gates of the dam to spill water to save it from collapse. The Wager Gbawe director of NADMO, Emmanuel Edubuahin, who accompanied the Director General of NADMO, Nanajaman Prempeh, and a team from the organization disclosed this to the Daily Graphic yesterday. It was during a tour of the flooded areas to assess the extent of flooding, which was rising by the hour because of continuous spillage. He said the NADMO team was still conducting an assessment to determine the actual number of people displaced by the flood. So, just to break it down, we've been told that I think the capacity of the Wager Dam is 48 feet. And that it had got to about 49.5, 49.8 feet. And so spillage had to happen. We've heard different thoughts about the spillage, whether the people were notified ahead of time. Some say there was no notification. The PRO of the Ghana Water Company Limited says there was ample notification. But the fact still remains that this has caused a lot of destruction to property. Cars were swept away by, the flood. Houses have been basically covered in water. Property has been lost. People are stranded. They can't enter their homes. NADMO, I'm sorry to say, as usual, has been slow. I don't know what your take is.
You see, I don't know why we create the problem before the NADMO steps in. We knew that this was going to happen. I understand from what I hear with the interviews I've heard of the victims, that they were informed in April. I mean, how long ago is April? 6 months? And nothing happens. So they get back to their usual lives. They didn't move. And if they had moved in April, would they have been... Are you saying then that they should evacuate and not live there anymore? Because 6 months is a long time. And if they were told, and then in October or September, end of September, you're not telling... You don't give another warning and just go and open the spill gates, people's lives will be in destruction. And once again, let's do things with people in mind, with Ghanaians in mind. Let's not do things because it must be done. This is the way we do it. This is our work, and this is the way we are just going to perform our work to the best of our ability, without the consideration of Ghanaians, people who are struggling to live, to make ends meet. And then now, everything is destroyed. Yesterday, I heard someone on another station saying he's an architect, his laptop is gone, all the work he's printed is gone. I mean, where is he going to start from? You see, and if you say you inform them, why then are so many people saying we were not informed? So maybe somebody didn't do their work well. Whoever was supposed to go and inform them did not do their work well. I mean, what NADMO is going to do right now, it's pacification. It's nothing. You're only just going to, placate them there. Sorry, it's happened. Take this and get on with life. Whereas people's livelihoods are destroyed. So sometimes you must put the average Ghanaian in mind first. How are they going to do? How are they going to manage? And deal with that well. If it's resettling them, if it's saying move or lift your things up one level or other, well, this is what we're going to do, and we're afraid your place is going to get flooded. Yes, There was a time all those residents were moved from there, were asked to move. We all know the issue with land and how all kinds of land, pieces of land are being sold, and people are buying them with the hope that they'll be safe. But when they have settled, what can we do? This is when we must come in and say, listen, we have to spill this water, and as long as we're going to do it, your homes are going to get flooded. Give them ample time, not one warning. Give them warning upon warning upon warning. And if after that something happens, then they are to blame. But if you warn them in April and then come and take the action in September, there's a problem. I can't hear you. I can't hear.
All right, so try to remedy that, Bridget. We'll try to remedy that situation. All right, can you hear me now, Bridget?
I can hear you now, yes.
Great. Let me go over the story. So, compensate customers over system failure. PURC orders the ECG. And the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has ordered the Electricity Company of Ghana to pay compensation to affected customers in the recent failure in the ECG prepayment vending system. By the order, all categories of customers, residential, non-residential, commercial, lifeline, are to be compensated in the form of one-time electricity credit within the time frame of October 1st to October the 7th, that is tomorrow, 2022, as the PURC Act states. A statement signed by the Executive Secretary of the Commission, Dr. Ishmael Aka, ordered that each affected customer be compensated for the loss suffered as a show of responsive customer service and in compliance with the law. Were you affected by this situation, especially as you have a business and, you have a home? I don't know whether you were personally affected. Did you hear stories of people, and what do you think, what do you make of this directive for compensation?
I was affected, as we say. I was. I watched my credits, the credits left on my meter dwindle until the lights went off. It was almost as if I was doing a countdown to the launch of a NASA, what do you call those things?
Is it a space
spaceship to NASA, 543210. And I had power. I did not have power overnight. And when the credits came, when the system came back on Friday morning, some of us are lucky. And when people say yes, it's who you know, it's who you know. I went to the ECG, and I'll be honest, I went to the ECG district office, and I happened to be put in touch with someone who knew someone. And therefore, I didn't have to join the 3 long queues that were there, plus the ones that were sitting on chairs and shifting from chair to chair inside the yard, and then those who were shifting from chair to chair inside the building. There were 2 security men, strong men, making the situation worse by, if you try to go through the gates, they close it and push you out and all that. And I thought, this is not right. You put us in this situation. You cannot treat us like this. Then again, the Ghanaian, right? In Ghana, to be Ghanaian, you must suffer. So this is the suffering we're going through. Thank you, ECG. Indeed, ECG has to compensate us, but how is that going to happen? They are saying one-time payments, I heard you read, between the 1st and the 7th. I've already bought my credit. So are they going to give me double that? How much? And all that. So yes, we've been affected badly. ECG is not telling us exactly what happened. There are stories that there was a hack. The MD says, I don't know if there was a hack. I'm not going to say if there was a hack or not. Nobody is telling us anything. Oh, no problem. We are getting our power back. There are people who have had to go and line up at dawn so that they can get it before end of day, and all. There are people who say their pots of food that they would have lasted them a couple of weeks have all gone bad. So it's affected most of us. There's somebody, my printer who does my labels. If you ask how it's affected my business, I couldn't get my label for a few days. Now, I think that ECG, yes, must compensate us, but they are also losing a lot. And I'm not making excuses for them. I don't want to say it serves them right, but they're going to lose a lot of money because a lot of us have bypassed the system. A lot of people have done direct connection, bypass the meter, so they can have power to work. And they say, and I believe them, that they will go back and have their meter restored, and they'll pay what they've consumed, which is what they were asking ECG to do, and they ought to have done. A lot of these connections are being done on the blind side of ECG. So how are you going to know who has done a direct connection and is ever going to come back onto the metering system? So they're going to lose that way. But also, we need to be compensated for the hours lost. People who run factories and companies that use machinery, and they couldn't use their machinery for a few days. All those people need to be compensated.
Well, let's just look at this on the back page. 2022 World Cup driving Qatar sports dreams. And it's interesting, you may not be a big fan of sports, but how much it has cost.
Who told you so? Who told you so?
That's why I said may. But let's look at how much the World Cup in Qatar is costing. It's the most expensive ever. The one in the United States cost $500 million. The one in France, $2.3 billion. The one in South Korea and Japan, $7 billion. The one in Germany, $4.3 billion. South Africa, $3.6 billion. Brazil, $15 billion. Russia, $11.6 billion. In Qatar, it's going to cost a whopping $220 billion. That's how much has been invested in there just to get this latest Mundial off. And while I'm a big fan of football, I'm asking myself, in a year like this, a typical annus horribilis, that typical crazy year where everything goes wrong and people are hungry across the globe and all of that, I don't know. Maybe a very quick take on that so we move on to the Ghanaian Times.
It's ego, isn't it? And this is where my feminist thing comes in. It's a man thing.
It is?
Well, it's FIFA men's football, right?
It is.
Yeah,
women play football too.
Yes. Do we spend 200 million on the FIFA women's? Do we even spend?
Definitely spending on women's championships, even in UEFA and others, are far lower. That I know.
But it's you see, this is it. What are we trying to prove in a year like this when the whole world is suffering? Is this where FIFA World Cup unifies everybody?
Right.
Well, one of my workers was telling me yesterday, "Oh, madam, the World Cup starts when was it next week?" And I said, yes, a lot of work is going to come to a standstill. It unifies the whole world. We all stop to watch. I remember it wasn't when Ghana was rising with Samoajan. Unfortunately, I have to make.
So 2006, 2010, 2014. I think it's 2010 when we in South Africa that we nearly made it to the semis, and then the
whole African world. The Africans in the diaspora were supporting Ghana. It's a unifier. It's sports in any way. Sports is a language, whichever sports. Right. I'm a big tennis fan. And if I take a tennis racket and go to Ukraine, I'll make friends. So it's a good thing. It's good weapon. But must we put so much money behind it? Would it not work if we used less? And like you said, in a year like this, I think it's a matter of pride for Qatar, and they can afford it, yes.
Right.
But we must also think about the human being, humanity.
Well, I just want us to take a sneak peek, just to go back briefly. The other stories are some of those we've done already, but I want you, Bridget, and the rest of you watching us to take a look at what Erastus Asaridonko put together for us. Just some samples of our water bodies. Just take a look at that. So the Amoya Stream, River Bia, Tano River, Nui, Totoa Stream, River Bonsa, Afu Stream, the Ofin, and I think the Ankobra. Look at them. And look at a clean bottle of water to your left, and look at our water bodies and what they become. So that is what we have to grapple with, Ghana for. Bridget, I'm sure you took a look.
Yes, I can see them, and it's disheartening. It's disheartening. You know, you can't do this to creation, and you can't do this to human beings. You're not allowed to. And I hope that the people involved in the illegal mining, maybe they seem to think it's only in the area where they are. They should be taken downstream so they see what's going on all the way and how it's affecting lives. I think some of these people, really, those working practically on these in these illegal mines, seem to think it's only in that little place where they are. Don't we think that way? And my whole world is just where I am. If they're taken downstream and shown how it's affecting lives, and indeed the medical conditions that people are developing due to their activities, it's not. We've become so wealth and money conscious. It's all about money and how much I can make. And it doesn't matter how it affects the other person. Right. It's very disheartening.
It is, Bridget. It is. Let's just wrap. So, again, the Ghanaian Times captures it. Fight against illegal mining. We won't protect anyone involved in Galamsey. The president has been warning, but you've seen the water bodies and the way they look. Government increases cocoa producer price by 21%, and minority urges government to consider alternative view on economic situation. I'll get to that shortly. There's the Business Finder. Cocoa producer price is up by 21%, and thieves impede Tema Akosombo gas pipeline project. But the Daily Guide, Ghana's debt to GDP to hit 104.6%. So here's what it is. We have just about a minute to go, Bridget. But here it is. Our debt to GDP is set to hit 104.6% by close of year. The World Bank has blamed the Bank of Ghana, the central bank, for failing to address the monetary policy or the interest rate, hiking it early to stabilize our currency. Right now, the CD has depreciated by 60%. Consider last year, and we had lost about 2% around the same time. So you see the difference in there. And it's the worst performing currency currently on the continent. And guess what? When it comes to our woes, when it comes to debt to GDP, look at the countries we're rubbing shoulders with. Eritrea, Sudan, Cape Verde, Mozambique. So it paints a picture, doesn't it? Quick reflections in less than a minute and we're gone.
Well, I would have thought that this government would be the best at managing our economy. For us to be in debt to the point where our debt to GDP is 106, did you say 0.4%?
104.6.
How are we paying our day-to-day expenses? I don't know what to say. It's disappointing. The economy has been completely mismanaged. They are blaming the Bank of Ghana. Yes, the Ministry of Finance must be blamed as well. But it's not the blame. You see, I don't believe in just laying blame. Somebody must be responsible and do something about it. What is being done about it? I mean, they say to us that, it's the pandemic, it's Ukraine, Russia. We are not the only ones in the world.
Right.
I was out of the country, and of course I could see, they kept saying the US is in recession. I know what is happening in the UK. But our debt levels, debt to GDP, cannot be blamed on Ukraine or on the pandemic. Indeed, if it's the pandemic, we did have a lot of relief from the IMF and the World Bank. What did we do with it?
Well,
it's obviously mismanagement. There's no two ways about it. It's been the economy has been mismanaged, and those who have mismanaged it, if they say they had the people or they had the men to run this country and to run the economy, they'd better take responsibility and work their way back into putting us on the right footing.
Bridget Jokbenuku, so we're around 80+% now, but at the end of the year, we'll hit the 104.6% that the World Bank is projecting. But we're grateful that you took the time to join us, Bridget. Interesting conversation, as always. Do have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
And that's how we wrap the AM News Review. But up next, we'll be telling you a lot in the world of sports. And yesterday, it was Champions League action once more. Erling Haaland has taken his goal tally to an incredible 19. Want to find out more? Stay with us. We'll be back with sports.
We're here in the Tetegu community, one of the badly worst hit, areas of the flood. You can see this military truck here helping residents move their household appliances to dry land. This is the only dry land we can see here at Tetegu right now. And what is happening in the background here, some of the residents have started killing their livestock, preparing them, cooking them, and then sharing them amongst themselves. They tell me that many of them have started dying, so this is what they're doing. Some of them are also raising concern about relief items. They tell me that 72 hours after flood displaced, many of them, they are yet to receive relief items from the National Disaster Management Organization. Let me speak to some of them. Hi, sir, what's your name?
My name is Clifford.
Clifford. Yeah. You were raising concerns about relief items. You're saying that 72 hours you've not received any relief item from
this today making the third day and we have not received anything, not even student mattress to sleep. We don't have anywhere to sleep. This is how we just gather from morning till night till the next day. We are all here, but there's nothing to do. We are just begging the government to help us. Our property are spoiled. We don't have anywhere to go. We need support from the government. That is what we need.
So you lost everything?
Yes.
And what for the interim? What would you need to?
They should bring us food and mattress.
Okay, you need food and then mattress.
Yes.
Okay. So they should bring you food.
Yeah.
Is that why you are killing the livestock here in this community?
Yeah, the animals,
fowls,
and the foods, everything that we see around. Yeah, because we are staff, we can't get anything around. You understand? So the only thing we need from NADMO and the government is we need food. As you can see, the supposed assemblyman, which is called Tuna Atukpa, he tried giving us a tent and some things, foodstuffs that we can use to, sustain ourselves. That's the reason why we are here. So we are pleading to the government to give us food and some stuff that we can, sustain ourselves.
So at this point, you need food and then what? Mattress?
Yeah, mattress, mosquito nets, water and other things that can sustain us.
Do you have... NADMO, have they given you any assurance?
They never give us anything. The only thing that they give us is the boat that they brought early this afternoon.
Okay.
That's the only thing we had from NADMO. Okay. But if we are pleading to the government, the major thing that we need right now is food. As you can see, all the youth are here. The elderly are here. We need food and water and mattress.
Addressing the media, Municipal Chief Executive for the new Joabin North Municipality, Comfort Asante, disclosed that the situation has led to a closure of the Islamic Basic School, Municipal Assembly Basic School, Methodist Basic School and the Catholic Basic Schools, all in Akwadum. She added some 2,686 persons made up of 977 children and 1,708 adults have been displaced, whilst 203 households are either totally or partially collapsed.
Have been working assiduously day and night to contain the flood situation. So far, data collected throughout the municipality indicates that the worst hit communities are Akodum and Asokore. The municipality, unfortunately, recorded one death who has since been buried. Figures of affected people recorded is 2,686, made up of 977 children, comprising 489 males and 488 females. Adults affected are 1,708. It is important to state that 203 households have either collapsed completely or partially damaged.
Coordinating Director of the new Juaben North Municipal Assembly, Alhaji Ibrahim Tijani Ampedu Amadou, hinted the Assembly has commenced a review of all building permits in some flood-prone areas. He added that all buildings without permit will be demolished.
At the last statutory planning committee meeting, this issue was discussed extensively. We realized that even those that we give permits are potential threats to the riverbeds and then the flow of the water. So the statutory planning committee has been directed that we should review some of the permitting that we have given already. And those that do not have permits, we are gradually going to pull them down. But due diligence has to be made to ensure that the right thing is done. So gradually, we do not want people to encourage people to be developing on waterways, etc. Much as
Well, of course, that's how we kickstart our big stories. We're going to be talking about that situation after the spillage of the Weija Dam and the aftermath of same. People stranded, some starving, like you saw in the video, some of them cooking, using their livestock because some of them are dying, just so members of the community can get something to eat. Others have nowhere to sleep. NADMO has been lethargic as always in its approach. And I say this not happily, but there are people who are stranded. We saw this coming. But let me bring in my colleague, Isaac Kofi Ajay, to walk us through what exactly the situation is, what the images tell us in terms of the spillage from the dam and what real impact is happening. Isaac, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Ben.
Great. I can see the map that you have there. Show us exactly what is happening.
Right, so on the touch screen, I want us to look at one area that has been hard hit by this spillage, which is the Tetegu area. So this is our map on the touch screen. So if we click on Tetegu, you can actually see the map taking us to this area. Now, once you are in this area, then look at what we are seeing. This is the Densu River, the course of the river, which is from the Weija Dam. And this river actually is the place that has been flooded. So if you look at the course of the river, you can actually see that people have built settlements around, houses around this area. And then the course of the river must be free so that the river or the dam, when spilled, can have an easy access to the sea. We also show that the bit where it joins the sea. But this map that we have here shows you the Tetegu area and then the course of the Densu River, which is from, the Weija Dam. And so you can see settlements around the river, and then this is not something good. So these are areas that will be affected by the current spillage that, we saw from the Weija Dam. So all these houses along the course of the river are not supposed to be there. But I also want to take you to the Weija Dam itself. So this is the dam. Actually, this is the dam. And then this dam, when it is spilled, moves from, from its tributary to join the sea at a delta point. So let me show you the delta point. Okay, so this is you see the Densu Delta Plain. So this is the Delta Plain, Ben. And this is an area that people are not supposed to settle here. But what do you see? You can see houses.
There's a concentration of houses right there.
So this is the area that when the dam is spilled, the water is supposed to move from Weija and settle within this area. So you can see that this is the Delta zone. This is where the river, the Densu River, joins the sea or the ocean. But where people are not supposed to settle, you can actually see that the belt houses here and all these areas, as and when the water levels get higher, will be affected. So the course of the river is taking, over the entire area, and then along the line we will see oxbow lakes being created because of this floods, and all those who are within this area are likely to be affected by the current spillage we see from the Weija Dam. But why are we having this situation? I also want us to do some charts and see why we are having this situation. So the Weija Dam, its normal spillage level is supposed to be around 46.5 feet. But currently the dam is around 49.5 feet, almost 50 feet. And this is the reason why we are currently seeing the level of spillage that we are seeing. So the maximum operation level for the dam is supposed to be around 48, and we are having around 50. The difference between the normal and the current level is about 3 feet. And usually when it happens, the Ghana Water Company or the managers of the dam will open just 2 spill gates. But this time around, because of the high levels of the water, they have to now open 4 spill gates. So if you look at an area like Oglogo and other places, they are not supposed to be affected. But because of the high levels of the water, these areas have been affected because now we are not dealing with 2 spill gates, but dealing with 4 spill gates.
In fact, is it the Daily Graphic also reports this morning that there were 5 spill gates?
Absolutely. So it means an additional one has been opened. But this, floods that we are seeing and spillages, it's not just the Greater Accra region. So the recent, downpours have also affected other places. So if you look at the Jambusi flooding in the upper west region, what happened? The maximum operating level for the dam in Jambusi is around 13 feet. But this time around, it's around 13.8 feet. So it means spillage would have to, what is happening now? So the high levels...
So Isaac, I'll let you go on with that. It's crucial, though, that we take a pause here and engage Patrick Kumo, the Municipal Chief Executive for Weija Gbawe. He's on a time leash, so Ike, just hold for me. Mr. Kumo, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, my brother.
It's a pleasure having you. Now, this is a serious situation. We're discussing the spillage and the resultant flooding and how your community has been affected. As of today, what is the state of those in your community as MCE in the Weija Gbawe area?
Yeah, good morning, and let me say a very good morning to your cherished listeners. We're having some positive news this very morning, and I must say our efforts are paying fruit.
Mr. Kumo, if you could speak up a little for me, I'd be grateful.
Yes, I said a very good morning to your cherished listeners, and let me say we're having some positives this very morning. Our efforts for the past 3 days are paying fruit. Let me say this very morning, the waters and the communities are receding. The information that we had from Ghana Water yesterday that the levels that are coming from the eastern regions are dropping, and hence this very morning the gates are going to be reduced so that we don't have too much pressure in the community. It's really happening this morning. The estuaries that we opened some 2 days ago are also very active, and that is taking the majority of the waters from the community. So this very morning, I must say we have some good news for our people. Let me also use the opportunity to thank the security agencies that came in to support the NADMO, the 48th Regiment, the Marine Police from Takrady and Tema, and all who came in to support. We are so much grateful. We also have some few things that need to be done. That is in relation to the people that have been displaced. We believe that the promise that was given by NADMO director yesterday, this very morning, myself and my colleague from Gasal, we are on our way to the NADMO headquarters to take some of the delivery of some relief items so that those that have been hit severely can be supported in a way.
It's interesting that you speak about relief items. I was just about to get to that. many of those in the community have said that they haven't got any relief items from NADMO, not mattresses, nothing. Some of them have not slept. Some of their livestock have been affected. Some have had to kill the livestock and, forcibly cook them for community members. I mean, how long is it going to take? When can we say that people in your catchment area will get as many relief items as they need?
Yeah, my brother, you see, when there are disaster strikes, the first thing is to search and rescue, which the team has successfully completed. Now, those that have been affected, and that is what I'm saying this very morning, some relief items are coming in. We're still taking audits of people that have been affected by the NADMO. So latest by midday, we should have items being delivered to persons that have been affected. But, government cannot do it all. We're still calling on people who are in good positions to help. All donations are welcome at the assembly so that with NADMO, we can still go out there to support our people. This is a very trying moment for the people of Wejagba. We're part of the South, and we'll need everybody on board to be able to help our people who have been displaced as a result of this disaster.
So you say, just to confirm, latest by midday, relief items will be available, just to confirm?
Yes, please. Yes, please. And we know because of the flood levels in the community, ECG had to cut power to some areas so that we avert casualties. Let me also assure them that so far as the waters are receding in the community, ECG will be going out this very morning to assess their transformers and their equipment so that where we need to restore power, that one will also be done before the close of day.
What sort of items, what sort of relief items are we looking at?
Basically, I will need to get there to really see to it. But mostly, as you know, the immediate items that are needed are water, food, mattresses, and cups, and all that people would need at this very trying moment. But I need to get to the office to see what items are going to be made available. But from my past experiences with disaster management, these are the immediate items that are mostly deployed to people. But then I need to get to the office to really see what is available for us today.
Some say that leadership, like the MCs, DCs, and even NADMO have failed. The reason is they say you were aware, like the Ghana Water Company Limited has said, that there was going to be a spillage. Why wait for the flooding to happen before you act? You knew this would happen.
My dear brother, indeed, yes, of course, anytime Ghana Water want to throw water into the community, we are a major stakeholder. We are notified. And whatever measures we need to put in place before that exercise is done was put in place. Information were sent to the various communities. And as humans as we are, if you even look at the situation that happened in the U.S., Florida recently, announcements were made about the hurricanes that people were still staying in their homes until the unfortunate hit them. And that is what really happened here.
If you make the comparison to the Florida situation, we're talking hurricanes and, it's an entirely different ballgame, Mr.
But what I'm saying is about the information dissemination and how people react to such information. We've had annual spillage of water into the community. We do the announcement. But people were thinking the gravity of which we've been doing in the past years was going to be the same. Because in the past years, when it happens, we manage the situation that a lot more people are not affected. You understand that? By this time, the rains and the volumes that came from the eastern region was not something that were anticipated. And for that matter, it is expected to see what you are seeing today. Because if we really want to protect the integrity of the dam, then of course, we need to save the dam by spilling the water. This is where we are today. And we don't need to start having a blame game. It's a disaster that has struck, and of course, we need to all come together to think of our best and salvage the situation.
We've been told that there's a likelihood of a further spillage as far as the Weija Dam is concerned, which could mean more flooding. How are you getting ready for that?
Yes, my brother, the team and everybody is still on standby. We're still monitoring the situation. If we're still having more rain in the eastern region, then of course we'll still be having the dam still. But then as I speak to you, all the men are still on standby monitoring the situation and how soon we can easily maneuver around this whole thing. So let me assure my people that everybody keep calm, and we will sure we'll go through this peacefully.
My final question to you, what can we expect then from you, from the NADMO, moving forward for those in the Wejagbawe area?
Yes, it's all about recommendations that need to be sent to government ASAP. I mean, this operation will be high capital intensive, and I think we need to take the bull by the horn. We need to indeed go in for the dredging of the dam. I mean, if my assessments are right, this dam was constructed some 6 decades, that about 60 years ago. And since then, I've not heard of any major dredging of the Wicha Dam. And you know very well that within this period, you have the dam being silted heavily. If, let's say, for instance, when it was constructed, the depth then was about, say, 100 feet. 60 years, you should be having it around maybe 40 feet. That tells you that the volume with which the dam could contain has really reduced drastically. And for that matter, any little pressure of water that comes in will have to cause Ghana water to fail. And that is it. And then when you come to the downstream, which flows down into the sea, it also needs heavy dredging so that we can have some embankment created so that the water, anytime it's filled, wouldn't move into the community. Then, of course, the structures that are dotted along the water bank, of course, most of them have been marked for demolition. We started operation, and the state media came in with a bash. This time, I believe we all see what is happening and why we need to come together to support the assemblies to be able to clear the structures off these waterways, and then we all can have some peace at the end of the day.
Mr. Kumo, before I let go of you, I know I said that was my final bit to you, but an interesting bit. So the developments along the stretch obviously will be affected once there is a spillage. We also know that the Ghana Water Company Limited is blaming you for not, letting the bylaws bite and allowing more people to put up structures, in the communities along the path where the water body passes. How do you react to that finally? And what measures are you putting in place to prevent further developments?
Yeah, my dear brother, I have the opportunity to serve my people just 6 years now. Those structures that are adopted there have been there for 3-4 decades. But as a leader, you inherit assets and liabilities. And for assumption of office, what I need to do as making sure structures that need to be moved, we have started long ago and will still continue to do. But at some point, you still have same people coming, media coming to ask you why you need to displace people. Reason why I'm calling that this is the time we all need the support of everyone, including the media. When such actions are taken, we all support for us to get to the conclusion of it. So that at the end of the day, we don't come pointing fingers. Are you with me, my brother? So I believe moving forward, everybody has seen the necessity for which assemblies or government will have to take certain structures off. And then we can all be on the same page and then move forward with it.
Mr. Kumo, we're grateful for your time. Thank you for joining the conversation and we wish you the very best. That is Patrick Kumo, Municipal Chief Executive, Wejagbawe. And some important things he made mention of. The waters are receding. He's made mention of the fact that by noon today, there should be some relief items available to those in the Wejagbawe community. I also asked him about a further spillage, which is possible as the rains hit the eastern region and what could happen. And he says he, together with his team and, of course, NADMO officials, are standing by so that in the event of that, they would be on hand. Finally, about constructions going on in that community. Well, they say they are doing something. Hopefully, it averts similar catastrophes in the future. But let's come back into the studio. Isaac Kofi Ajay is still here with us. I don't know, quite some interesting developments that we have here. But let's get to the map. Let's get back to what exactly the situation is in these communities.
All right, so we spoke about the Ashalaja, Tetegu. Now let's go to Ashalaja and see what is happening in this area as well. So the map will take us there. And this is our interactive map taking us to Ashalaja. And this is the area. So, Ben, you can actually see that these areas are dry areas. But still, you can see the Densu River meandering, a serpentine movement around this area. So you can actually see that these are dry areas. So for the water to move from this part to these areas should tell you the depth, of the spillage, or
it would mean the water body would have to overflow its banks all the way to get into the community.
So when we saw the course of the river in Tetegu, it was different from this. The course was bigger than this one that we are seeing. This is not really, any form of movement. But if you look at the magnitude of the spillage, it's actually increasing the volume of this, river around this area, and it's actually overflowing its banks to these dry areas, and all these areas were affected by the flood. We were talking about, other areas across the countries affected by this flood before the interruption. So we're talking about the Jambusi flooding, and then the fact that the Ghana Water Company had to halt production in this area because of the flooding in this area as well. There's also the Nawuni Dalum in the northern region. What happened there is that two transformers belonging to the Ghana Water Company feeding the treatment plant got damaged, and power to the plant was curtailed. What means is that the people in these areas will not get access to potable water because of the flooding. There's also the Achim Odan incident. What happened there is that flooding of the pump house at the intake point, and when that happened, they had to shut down the Achim Odan treatment plant, and water supply to areas such as Achim Odan, Akwetia, Kede, and surrounding communities had to be curtailed as well. There is the Denswano in the eastern region, which also got flooded, and the same thing happened there. The Ghana Water Company having issues with their treatment plants and other things. So that's the situation currently, Ben, across the country, and then in Tetegu, and then areas affected by this Weja spillage.
I don't know what your take is, just briefly before you go, Isaac, as there is talk of a further spillage, depending on the rains that hits the country from the eastern region. Looking at all that we're talking about, what do you think the impact would be?
Well, the MC spoke about the water receding, but I feel that people who are along the course of the river, the settlements along the course of the river, certainly is affecting the river or the spillage having its free flow into the sea. So if the water is receding, then we should have the picture being painted out in the delta zone. But unfortunately, we do not have scenes from the delta zone to see the amount of water in this zone. But if the water is receding, that means they have to get easy access to the delta zone in order to join the sea at that point.
Isaac Kofi Ajay, always refreshing having you on the panel. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. And of course, he was walking us through all that is happening in those areas affected by the Weja Dam spillage. But some schools in the new Juaben North municipality of the eastern region have been closed down, while more than 2,000 people have been displaced following last weekend's downpour. We'll bring you some details on that as we engage Comfort Asante, Municipal Chief Executive, New Juaben North. Madam Asante, a very good morning to you.
Morning, how are you?
Well, we're well. Not so well on the back of knowing what is happening in other parts of the country.
It's too early in the morning. By the middle of the day, everything will be okay. Don't worry.
Great. So paint a picture for us. What is the current situation there on the back of the latest flooding incident?
At the moment, we've been putting measures in place. Like I've been saying, nobody can stop or prevent natural disaster, but we try to manage it. As at now, New Juaben North, which is made up of about 5 sub-towns, the whole flooding happened in almost all the towns apart from one town, Jumabo. Oyoko had their share, Asokoro Zongo had their share, Akwadum place is where we had the most serious situation because the Densu River flows in the town, through the town. And then we have some other rivers who join the Densu to flow downstream. And because of the load of water in the Densu, when it rained on the Saturday, Sunday, it was heavy. The small rivers couldn't enter the Densu, so they were pushed upwards, and that might have resulted in the flood in the whole town. And like I've said, Oyoko, as at now, we have a machine there dredging the river, also flooded. And Akwadum, as at now, the water is receding. On Sunday, vehicle could pass from Suhum through Akwadum to Kofodia. Any vehicle pass through Akwadum from Kofodia to Suhum. But as at Monday morning, cars started passing, and as at now, the road is safe and open for vehicular movement. And we thought, water is life, because most of the wells we have in Akwadum have been contaminated. We needed to get our people potable water. So yesterday, 3 days ago, we installed a 5,000-liter polytank and fill it with potable water. We also have boreholes, and we have put on power so that they can pump water from underground to the head tanks for the people to use. And we are getting ready to see whether we can get food items for our people, especially those in Akwadum. And that's at now. Most of them initially were putting up in some mosque, classrooms, and a community center there. But as at yesterday, those whose houses were flooded because the water has receded, most of them were moving back to their homes, and we have few of them left in the mosque and the classrooms. And again, because most of the children were coming from the villages, surrounding villages, to school in Akwadum, because of the flooding, we asked the children not to come because we didn't know what might have happened to them on their way to school. But as we look at the situation, any moment from today, maybe if things are normalizing, a bit normalized, we'll see what we can do with the Education Directorate. All this, I didn't do them in isolation. We had a series of meetings, MUSEC, and then Public Emergency Health Committee, because health hazard follows some of these. So as at now, my health team, they are at a radio station, GBC, educating the people on how to live safe. And we are going to put chlorine into most of the wells, pump the waters out, and then put chlorine to at least make the water a bit hygienic for consumption. So these are some of the measures. And Akwadum Zongo, in fact, we had one casualty. The person was buried on Monday. We were there yesterday. We had a cleanup in the whole community, both the Zoom Lion, assembly member, and the people in the area. And as at now, we are moving around to see how we can get the people a bit resettled.
Madam Asante, you speak of one casualty. Was this person a casualty on the back of the flooding?
Yes. Water entered his room. I think he was asleep. So when he got up, the water just, swept him away. And because it was when everybody was, in his or her room, he couldn't get anybody to save him, and he died. And he, being a Muslim, he was buried the following day.
When exactly was this?
Me.
When exactly did this happen?
That was Sunday night. Yes.
So tell me, in terms of the schools, how many exactly have been affected? How many have had to shut down on the back of the...
we have 4 schools in Akwadum. Apart from Akwadum, all the other towns, they are schooling. But because of the villages and the Densu flooding in Akwadum, we thought it wasn't safe for the children to be allowed to come to school. So the water recedes. So maybe from today going. So Akwadum, 4 schools. We have 4 schools, MA, we have Catholic school, we have Islamic school, and then we have a Methodist. So these 4 schools, as of today, they are not in school. And we are meeting this morning to see what we will do about the situation, especially with the 3rd year students who are preparing for their big exams, to see whether we can find a way out for them. Yeah.
You spoke about water sources being contaminated and the fact that you had got a 5,000 gallon capacity tank and all of that. Boreholes activated them. Is this to say that all members of the community have access to potable water then?
Yes, they have, because we have community water supply system in the town. So most of the people are linked onto that one. But we were looking at the open wells and boreholes and those who don't have that facility in their homes. So we put the tank in the central point in the town. We have a borehole at the outskirts. We have one linking to the market and to the clinic. So we have activated all these for them to at least have potable water. You know, boreholes, the water is pumped deep down from the earth. So it's more potable than the wells. And the wells which have been contaminated, to where we are putting chlorine to get them, we are pumping them out and putting chlorine to make sure that the water that comes out is potable for them. Yeah.
Let's talk about those who have been displaced. How are they being dealt with? Have they received any relief items? Have they been relocated, as most of them can't inhabit their houses?
Fortunately, most of the affected people, they joined their family people who weren't affected. Those who didn't have families who were not affected were asked to use the classrooms and the mosque. But like I said, the waters, the flood waters that entered their homes, they are receding. Some have receded, so some of them have gone back to their homes. But the few left, we are going to see the situation today. If it's okay, by the close of the week, most of them would have gone back. We are praying the rain doesn't come in again, so that people will be saved back in their homes. So this morning,
so that is a hope. That is a hope. But in the interim, so is there no plan for relief for them?
We are, because when flooding, nobody expects flooding to come. It comes suddenly. So we need to do the first.
Madam Asante, so I guess the question I am asking is, are there any relief items in the pipeline for these communities? And which relief items are we
on Sunday, when the situation was very worse and high, NADMO, the regional NADMO director and his team were there. Municipal NADMO people were there. So they know the situation. We wrote to them and they are getting ready. Assembly is preparing to see whether we can get them food item. I mentioned it initially. So maybe by the close of today, we would have gotten something for them and hoping that NADMO will also come to top up, because we were thinking of blankets, mosquito nets, and there's some food items for them. So by the close of the day, what the assembly might have gotten, will go in and give them to them. And yesterday, I had a press conference and I made an appeal to the general public to come to our way. So hopefully, should we get that from the assembly, maybe NADMO, municipal level, regional level. We even called the NADMO national CEO to come to our aid. So hopefully by the close of the week, if all this come in, our people will get more of the relief. But assembly, we are trying to get them something before the close of today. Yeah, but water, we thought water first. So now we are sure of potable water for our people, especially those at Akodum, to get water. And then we full up with the remaining ones.
You did talk about the fact that hopefully there will not be more rain, so you would not end up in this situation. It's been said that maybe there may be further spillage in case there's rain, but let's just hope that the rains subside and that the dam doesn't have to be spilled one more time. But thank you very much, Comfort, for joining the conversation. Next, we'll be engaging NADMO on what exactly the action has been on the ground in the Waja area. Amoyate is Director for Inspectorate. A very good morning to you, Amo.
Morning. Good morning.
Thank you for joining the conversation. What is the latest as far as NADMO and its activities are concerned? In most of these areas, we see, just a bit, we see that you've not hit the ground running yet in terms of relief items. What is happening?
Breaking. I can hardly hear you.
Can you hear me now, Mr.
Yeah,
Yati?
I think it's better.
All right. I am saying that around Weja, so all those communities, NADMO is said to have, hinted that it would be in action, but we've not seen that action on the ground yet. People don't have relief items. What is going on?
So we are always talking about relief. Anyway, good morning to your listeners. And then we were expecting that by this morning, the flood levels would have receded drastically, and then life will begin to come to normal. Relief is given on the basis of our assessment, and then we target the most vulnerable. Relief administration is not like because there has been rain, everybody in the area, everybody in the locality has, because we don't have all the resources. So what we do is that we prioritize the most vulnerable. We target the most vulnerable. People who without aid cannot help themselves. They are our priority. It's not about everybody is in the area, there's been rainfall, so everybody is getting relief.
Mr. Yati, I doubt that anybody would think that everybody in the catchment area, even someone not affected, should get aid. But, you hint at something.
Everybody is talking about relief items. We do an assessment, and then on the basis of the assessment that we do, we identify the most vulnerable, and then we do the needful.
All right. So let's do this. A lot of people, Mr. Yati, let's have a conversation. A lot of people have been shut out of their homes. Some can't access their homes. Some haven't been able to sleep because they don't even have mattresses. Some don't have food to eat. Per your assessment, about how many people fall in this vulnerable, category that you're going to help?
The people that we are going to help.
Yes. About how many are we looking at? These vulnerable people.
The figures are still coming in. But then we started with wet ration. Plus, people needed food. People have been locked out. They needed food. So we started already with that in some of the communities. And I'm saying that we are targeting the most vulnerable. And then we know, because we are going around, we know the people, we see them. Most of the people that we even evacuated are no longer in the communities. Because once we evacuate them, family and friends are ready to take them in, and then they are taken to the nearest lorry stations where they bought vehicles out. So that is what we know. But the good thing is that the flood levels have receded drastically, and life must begin to get back to normal. Once we have done some assessment, the needful will be done.
What exactly are you giving out to these vulnerable people?
What we give out is on the basis of our assessment. So we cannot say we are giving out this. No, we will give to who needs what, is what we will do.
How many people, just an approximate, have you impacted? Have you directly engaged, given something out to as of now?
I would say more than 500 people in terms of the food, wet ration that was distributed. Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of the food, what exactly have you been giving out? Rice, oil, what?
Food, already cooked food, rice, kenke, it went out to people because the situation was that people were not going to be able to cook, so they needed to eat. So wet ration went out.
All right, so already cooked food, not raw food, no.
Yeah, already cooked food.
All right, but there are a lot of more people who are complaining that they've not got anything. Are you going to spread your wings and try and assess these people?
So sometimes when we speak to you, we pick up a few things and then we follow up on them. We pick up a few things from the media and then we follow up on them. So like you are saying, a lot of our men are already on the ground. Yeah. So the assessment is ongoing until the whole situation is over because things change. Yes. Keep changing by the minute, by the day. So the assessment is ongoing, and we will continue to do the needful to ensure that everybody is at peace.
I have a few more questions for you very briefly. How many NADMO staff, how many NADMO officials are on the ground on this particular matter? Can you tell me?
It's not only NADMO. The whole of Ghana South Municipal Assembly NADMO is on the ground. Greater Bawe NADMO is on the ground. Regional teams are on the ground. Teams from the headquarters are on the ground. We have the Marine Police, 48 engineers, Ghana
so I get it. It's all tied to
on the
NADMO. I'm just asking about the numbers, just to have an appreciation of the numbers on the ground.
Pardon me?
I'm just asking about the number, all put together, about how many?
Oh, it will be difficult for me to give you that figure right now. I'm actually on my way to the office as I speak to you now. I'm in traffic. It will be very difficult for me to give you exact figures now.
So my final bit to you, what can we expect today, in the course of today? We spoke to some municipal chief executives. Some said by noon there will be deliveries from NADMO. Others said in the course of the day. What can we expect today for the affected communities from NADMO?
Yeah, what we should expect is that, like I said from the beginning, the good thing is that the water levels are receding, so life will getting back to normal in the next few hours. But then we have assessed the situation. We have identified some very vulnerable people, and then we are going to do the needful. And I can say that for the course of the day, some relief will go to those who really need them.
My final bit to you, it said that if there should be more rain, there would be another spillage. If the water levels increase again at the Weija Dam, there will be another spillage. Are you prepared for that? If in the coming days there's another spillage with more flooding, will NADMO be ready?
This is an alert for everybody, and then we are talking to the meteorological agency who have been updating us on the weather. And we don't, from the Ghana Meteorological Agency, it doesn't look like this is the end of the rain. There will be more rain, so we are ready. And it's also an alert to the communities that get flooded. Yeah.
Mr. Yate, we're grateful you took the time to engage us this morning, and we wish you the best as you seek to help our brothers and sisters. Have a good day, sir. That is Amo Yate, Director for Inspectorate at NADMO. So some interesting discussions we've been having on the back of this conversation. Accusations being traded, but NADMO saying it is doing the best it can under the circumstances. One major point to contemplate is the fact that, well, they're staying on that beat. They're going to be on high alert, like Mr. Yate just mentioned. They are engaging the Ghana Meteorological Agency as more rain is expected. And likely, with the rain would come more spillage of the Weija Dam, and that could lead to more flooding. We can only hope and pray that disaster doesn't strike one more time. Well, that's been our first big story, this conversation that we brought you. But up next, we're going to be talking about Galamsey and what Mr. President has been saying in recent times. Well, welcome back on the AM show. We talk Galamsey now and what Mr. President has been saying, ranging between 15 and 20-year terms for those found complicit and not shielding political actors. But what can we expect? Let's actually listen to what the president had to say on the back of illegal mining.
Even though for centuries we have been a mining nation, mining did not pose a threat to the health of our environment and water bodies. The rules that you put in place for mining ensure that the sanctity of our lands remained intact and our water bodies remained unpolluted. Tragically, in the modern era, that is no longer the case. And that is why I've come to you today to talk about how together we can repair this dramatic situation. Since I took office on 7th January 2017, nearly 6 years ago, I have made it a central feature of my presidency to lead in the efforts to rid our country of this madness, which we all now call Galamsey. Indeed, It was an important aspect of my inaugural address of that day. It has not been easy. It has not been popular. And we have not got the immediate results that I was looking for. My stance on the issue cost my party and I significant losses in the mining communities. It turned out that my statement that I was putting my presidency on the line in the fight against galamsey was neither bombast nor recklessness. It was the simple truth. We have tried many initiatives, including that of the community mining scheme and the establishment of a new legal regime for dealing with the perpetrators of this phenomenon, which has imposed severe sanctions on those Ghanaians and foreigners convicted of illegal mining. Still, we have not won the fight.
And that was Mr. President talking about what his administration would be doing. Engaging us on this all-important matter, we have Inusaf Hussaini, former Lands and Natural Resources Minister. We also have Dr. Steve Manteyao joining the conversation. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you.
Akakpo, good morning. How are you?
I am very well, Mr. Hussaini. Dr. Steve Manteyao, can you hear me? All right. It appears the feed to Steve Manteyao is experiencing some problems. We'll get in touch with him shortly. But Mr. Hussaini, are you reassured? Are you given any comfort by the latest words of Mr. President on the back of galamsey?
There's no word which is comforting or no sentence that is comforting and reassuring in the statement made by His Excellency the President in Kumasi. In fact, it's just a regurgitation of what he has been saying. And what he has been saying has led us to this despicable situation. And so he's not said anything new, nothing absolutely new about what he's going to do. He's not being innovative in the fight against illegal small-scale mining. Worse still, he's not even punishing and holding people accountable for this acts of degradation of the environment and pollution of the water bodies. I mean, we are not seeing the president talk tough. Nothing. So what do I walk away with? I walk away with the feeling that it is the same old talk that he went to Kumasi to do.
The president has called on the traditional rulers, traditional leaders, to join him in this fight. And he says it cannot be done by government alone. We know that sometimes some chiefs have been found to be complicit in this matter. Is that not a step in the right direction?
Well, everybody knows, including His Excellency the President, who is a lawyer. He knows that what the state has is mineral rights. The minerals of the state are vested in the president for and on behalf of the people. The state doesn't have the land. And so you need not tell the president that when you are fighting galamsey, you need the owners of the land to partner you as the person in whom the Constitution has reposed all minerals or vested all minerals in the state in you to be able to fight that. Because you need the land to be able to access the mineral. And so if a chief says, no, I gave the land out to X, Y, Z to go and do farming activities, and they go, and which the chief can do, and they go to use the land for galamsey or illegal mining, what do you do? And that is why you need the chiefs to partner you in the fight against small-scale mining. You don't only need the chiefs, and we have said it, and I've said it several times, and I'm sure the president has said, that look, you need the fringe community. The people who are directly bearing the brunt of the destruction of our water bodies and natural environment are the people who are living on the fringes of the areas that are doing the galamsey. You need to recruit them. They need to be partners in the fight against small-scale mining or illegal small-scale mining. You need the civil society organizations, CSOs, who are interested in protecting the environment. They become your eyes and your ears because they are interested in protecting the environment irrespective of the person with authority who is destroying the environment. So you need them. You need them. Then you have your state actors. The DC is the highest political authority in the district. Highest. He's the chairman of the DISEC. And you want me to believe, Mr. President, that all the distractions going on, your DCs have no clue as to who are involved. Then they are not fit for purpose. Or every district has a district BNI officer. Mr. President, do you believe sincerely that the district BNI boss is not aware of this security threat to the country and the people behind the security threat? Mr. President, policemen mount barriers and stop commercial vehicles, sometimes extort money from commercial vehicles. Mr. President, are you telling me that the policemen, when they see excavators moving into the forest, their suspicions are not raised? And what do they do to help in the fight against illegal small-scale mining? The questions are many. Mr. President, you sponsored an amendment to the Minerals and Mining Act 703, which produced Act 959. In that act, you said a foreigner arrested for engaging in illegal small-scale mining will be processed for court, and if convicted by the court, will serve the sentence before deportation. Mr. President, that law came into force before Aisha 1 was first arrested. And this was your handwork. This was your proposal. Mr. President, what convinced you that monetary consideration for Ghana was better than putting Aisha 1 in jail? 838 chamfans, Mr. President, were found on River Offing. 838. And no one claimed responsibility. No one was held responsible and accountable. How can we there's a trust deficit in this fight against illegal small-scale mining? Mr. President, your ministers, your senior party officials are engaged in illegal small-scale. That is why this matter has gone beyond control. Because people see that those who are associated with government are mining. And they are mining with impunity. And the country is for all of us. And so they go into the land. If they declare your mother a witch, you have to deal with your mother first before you get the legitimacy to deal with other witches. Mr. President, deal with your appointees first. That will give you legitimacy to deal with those who are not your appointees. Mr. President.
Right. It's interesting that you bring that up because Mr. President spoke about, in fact, he warned that any of his appointees found to be involved in Galamsey would not be spared. In fact, he interacted with DCEs and warned them that, quote, it cannot be that the president at the national level is waging a war against Galamsey and you, my representatives, are compromising that fight at the local level. That cannot work. I am not here to threaten anybody, but I want you to know that this is a struggle that I take very seriously, and I will not be in a position to protect anybody against whom evidence is massive to show complicity. I won't do it. How do you react to that?
Mr. President has all the evidence. I mean, I know the presidency. I know what information comes to the presidency. I was privileged to work as a cabinet minister. I know what information the president has. The president has chosen to pretend not to have that information. And so we will continue to fight a losing battle.
You're saying the president is pretending? In other words, he's saying one thing in the public space, but he knows better? Is that what you're suggesting?
You know, my brother, Galamsey is a security threat to this country. Galamsey, you mean his Minister of Security has not briefed him on the extent of destruction to our natural environment? You mean the Minister for Agriculture has not briefed him on the repercussions Galamsey is having on our cocoa, the financial backbone of this country?
I don't think that is just where it stops. We're talking about, political actors involved. And he's saying if you're found and there's massive evidence to show that you are complicit, you will not be spared. I mean, he can't possibly know about everybody who is involved.
Mr. President knows substantially. I mean, we didn't put a Humpty Dumpty in the Flagstaff house. Mr. President knows exactly who are engaged in small-scale mining. And I can tell you that Mr. President knows. And if he doesn't know, then I'm sorry.
So some interesting bits there that you speak of. The president has also intimated that the fight is not going to be easy. It has not been popular. It may have even cost them votes in the last election, but they are going to pursue that fight. I have posed this question before about how many millions, tens of millions, if not hundreds, we've pumped into the fight against Galamsey and whether we've got value for money. When the president says this has actually cost us in terms of our electoral fortunes, he talks about some regions and how maybe dwindling votes in there point to the fact that they've been fighting against Galamsey. Do you see that? Do you not see it? And if you don't, why?
Benjamin, the assistant line is beeping. Have you stopped it? It's beeping. Yeah. Good.
I will get right back to you.
No, it's okay. It's okay now.
Right. Just hold for me, though. Let me bring in Dr. Steve Manteyao as well. Just hold for me, Honorable Fuseni.
Okay.
All right. It appears we've lost Dr. Manteyao as well. We'll try to reconnect with him. So the question I was posing, the president talks about the fact that the fight against Galamsey has been that stiff, and that while we may not have seen, I mean, like some people would suggest, some of the outcomes that we want, they have done quite a lot to stem the tide of the menace, to which point it may have even cost them in the 2020 elections. Any quick reactions to that?
Well, now, first of all, the president should know, and every Ghanaian knows, that the fight against illegal small-scale money is not going to be an easy fight. I mean, we have always known it. I was privileged to serve as the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. It's not going to be easy. But all you need is commitment, dedication, focus, and singleness of purpose to be able to fight it. You see, for costing elections, I mean, it's neither here nor there. I mean, Galamsey cannot single-handedly be said to have cost the president elections. The president lost across the country. It was dramatic in Galamsey areas, but he lost in votes across the country. And so it's neither here nor there. And in any case, if you say you are putting your presidency on the line, what do you intend to do? What do you think the consequences will be? I mean, if you put your presidency on the line and fight Galamsey and lose the presidency, I mean, you will leave a legacy. This was the president who put his presidency on the line and fought the menace. And when he fought and succeeded, but lost the presidency, that will be what you'll be remembered for. In any case, why did they vote against Nana Akufo-Addo? They didn't vote against Nana Akufo-Addo because he was fighting Galamsey. I tell you, Benjamin Akakpo, the people in the Galamsey areas voted against MPP because they were MPP sympathizers who were doing Galamsey. When the majority of the people under the banner of banning Galamsey from 2017 to 2018 were engaged in illegal small-scale mining under the protection of the military. So the people felt hard done by. They said, look, we'll teach you a lesson. Ghana is not for you alone. You can't stop people from mining, including legal miners, and then your people, those close to your party, are engaged in illegal small-scale mining. If the people had seen the president to be fair, balanced in his approach, firm in his approach, they would have rewarded him with more votes. After all, the people who don't do Galamsey are more than the people who do Galamsey.
Just hold for me. Let me bring in Dr. Steve Manteyao, a policy analyst as well. Doc, good morning once more.
Good morning.
And thank you for your patience with us. I'd just like to find out from you on the latest talk of fighting Galamsey, as the president said in Kumasi yesterday. What is your quick reaction, your overview of what he had to share with us?
Well, I think that I was pretty surprised by the turn in the strategy in the fight against Galamsey. I'm surprised because I think we all know we are heading for a crisis. And critical situations usually require resolute response. And in my honest view, we have long passed the phase of moral suasion, which is what the president sought to deploy in his meetings with the chief and subsequently with the MMDC. For me, this approach signifies some level of despondency on the part of a man, a leader, so to say, who is clothed with enormous power and resources. We have the army, the military, the national security, all the state security apparatus and resources at his disposal to deal with this menace. And for me, it was not for nothing that we amended Act 703 to provide for stiffer sanctions for illegal mining activities. And yet, I don't have any knowledge of we applying the law, which actually provides for up to between 20 to 25 years imprisonment. Let me make the point that, in my view, the president was actually talking to corporates in this illegal activity. And I say so because between 2008 and 2018, 10-year period, Ghana received enormous support, over $100 million US dollars, to fight illegality in the mining and the forestry sector in this country. And over that period, the end of project evaluation indicates that illegality in mining more than doubled. So, which means
if you could just quote that figure again for me. How much did you mention again?
Over $100 million US dollars was invested under the Natural Resource and Environmental Governance Program, implemented between 2008 and 2018. There was an initial phase, 2008 to 2013, and then it was extended further for another 5 years, so a total of 10 years. We spent this money to curb illegality in mining and forestry and to improve environmental governance in this country. But illegality in the two sectors more than doubled. And according to the end of project evaluation report, and I happen to have joined an international panel to review that report, and the report concluded that the reason illegality in mining and forestry more than doubled was as a result of vested interests. That those clothed with the power to deal with the menace were themselves the perpetrators. They were either direct perpetrators or beneficiaries of the illegal activity. And this included the Nananum, the chief, the district assembly, the MMDC, and also staff of the Minerals Commission and other state agencies, including even the police. So if we were to go by that report alone, and if we take reports seriously in this country, we have a clear indication as to how to tackle the problem. You tackle the problem head on and take on the people who are close with power to deal with the problem. You don't go placating them the way the president sought to do yesterday. And I keep saying that, look, the day a chief is arrested for complicity in mining and put behind bars, all chiefs in this country will sit up. The day an MMDC is removed from office, put before the law, and put behind bars, all MMDCs would be up to the task. They will actually live up to expectations. So if all we are going to do is to be kind of deploying dialogue at this time, then I beg to say that we have long gone past that phase. We are actually at a phase that requires resolute action, resolute response, and that is why I agree with Occupy Ghana when they call for a state of emergency.
The president is now calling on the chiefs. Of course, that call has been made in the past, but he's asking them to work hand in glove with him to stem the tide of Galamsey. It's not a new call, but what do you think will be generated from this latest call upon Nananum?
See, if the chiefs are beneficiaries of the illegal activity in their catchment area, I mean, it becomes very difficult to get them to support your fight using moral suasion. I mean, money has a very, corrosive effect on good governance. You expect people to actually support you to better manage the environment and all that, but the people you expect to help you are benefiting. So the only way is to apply the law. Look, when we arrest illegal miners, those we arrest, those miserable boys that we arrest, are not the people who are actually directly engaged in the activity. They are proxies. So if we are minded to interrogate them, to investigate further, and for God's sake, we have a national security, PNI, and a lot of state security agencies in this country that can undertake such investigation. And then we arrest the perpetrator. But sometimes I think there's even so much pretense, because we do know. I'm pretty sure the president must have seen this party Nyasika video, which was shot in the office of Professor Frimpong Watten when he was in charge of the Environment Ministry. If the president says he has not seen that video, then we must disband our national security apparatus. Then they are not working. So if you have seen a video justifying why we should commit illegality, flout laws, and mine illegally in this country, and this video involves your party people and your appointed minister, and you do nothing about it, what signal are you sending to the rest of us?
That signal is the question. But when it comes to the political elements, Mr. President says he's seeking the assistance of Nananum and others to take partisan political interest out of the fight against Galamsey. In fact, he spoke specifically to DCEs, telling them that if they were found to be complicit in any way, and if there was massive evidence to that effect, they would not be shielded. Is that any comfort, knowing, for example, what we know about some of those entities that are tied to this ruling administration, Akonta Mining and others, and the fact that some of them are even in our forest reserves?
You see, when you have party people, and not just ordinary party people, but powerful party elements involved in this illegal activity, clearly Nananum will be powerless in actually dealing with them. Nananum do not control the state security apparatus. It is the president who actually controls them. And if I were the president, rather than appeal to Nananum to help, I would deploy the national security and all the powers at my behest to all the areas. In fact, the first step you do, and I want to emphasize that, you declare a state of emergency in those areas and deploy your heavy security into those areas and ensure that either Nananum or MMDCs and everybody involved will actually go by the dictates of your declaration of state of emergency. And that's the way to deal with the problem resolutely.
Let me come back to Inusaf Hussaini. You've been listening to Dr. Steve Manteyal share his own thoughts. And on the political tangent, there are others who have also been pointed to. For example, there is that audio recording of the DCE for Bosome, Frehu Yao Danso, implicating him in illegal mining. It is the banner headline of the Daily Guide newspaper this morning. Now, we've also been told that this person has lost his wife, and so while he had been summoned by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, that has been stayed. When it comes to the fight against Galamsey from the political end, are we doing enough? Is it enough for Mr. President to say this? What more can we do? Because I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that is where the biggest problem lies.
Well, it appears that we are almost coming to our wit's end. And we seem not to have too much confidence in this government's ability to be able to stop the fight, in view of the fact that many of its actors and supporters, key party functionaries, ministers of state and appointees are engaged in this activity. And the report of the Natural Resource Governance project clearly indicates what we say, or what we are saying. Because when the key actors get involved and nothing is done to punish them and send a signal, then everybody thinks that, well, this government is not serious. And so people who were waiting to see will not jump into the fray and start their illegal activity. When soldiers provide security, I mean, you remember Ambewu? When Ambewu started the fight in earnest, and then got reports that soldiers were providing security cover in the night for people to continue to engage in illegal small-scale mining. He made the matter public. The defense minister rallied to the defense of the soldiers and promised the people of Ghana that he was going to set up a committee to investigate that. What has come out of the investigation? And we're still hear reports. That is why I am a little bit skeptical about this Occupy Ghana's declaration of state of emergency. Because who are going to be those who will be policing the state of emergency? The state cannot be everywhere. The soldiers cannot be everywhere. And that is why, with the greatest respect to Doctor, I think that we should be looking at the community rights issue, as happens in Australia, in New Zealand, and many other jurisdictions. We should enhance the power of the community to say, no, you can't do small-scale mining here. Yes, we agree. The president holds the minerals in the land in trust for and on behalf of the people of this country. But communities must be able to say, yes, we are part of the people of this country. But we say that we prioritize the environment more than the minerals. So we are not going to allow the mining activities in our communities. Let's enhance community rights so that people can first of all have a legal right to refuse to allow mining to take place in their communities, and to stand up, use self-help to fight off those who want to engage in small-scale mining. But if we become passive citizens and rely solely on the state apparatus, we might be disappointed.
Dr. Manteao, we shouldn't become passive citizens, but the government machinery holds our power, the power to stem the tide of this. The president is calling on the chiefs, and all and sundry, basically. What then do we do moving forward? He says political elements will not be shielded. Traditional rulers are meant to come on board. What then do we do moving forward?
What's happening? Political elements involved in illegal mining are being shielded. And the evidence speaks to it. We've had enormous evidence from video footages and all that. And not the national security, not the, the police service, none of our state investigative bodies have even done anything about any of these. And so it leads all of us into a certain state of despondency. Let me say that, Honorable Inusa, it's not as easy as you say in terms of engaging and promoting community rights, because a lot of the communities have already been enticed into this activity, and so they even are likely to shield the miners because they are direct beneficiaries. I led a team from the, when I chaired the PIAC, I led a team to Asankewa on our project inspection tour. And the people, at that time, the president had actually instituted a moratorium on mining. And the community people were actually complaining bitterly that business is down, the miners have left the town. A lot of them said they are children with some of these miners, and they've abandoned them with their children and all that, and nobody is taking care of the children. So you have a situation where the community members themselves have become complicit. And that is why I want to say that it takes only strict enforcement of law to curb this. Let me also say that, incidentally, and I'm pretty sure you may be aware, during the period when the president actually imposed a moratorium on all mining activities in the country, I mean small-scale mining activities in the country, that was the year Ghana produced the most gold from the ASM sector. So what was happening? People were providing cover for party people to mine and then creating the impression that no mining was going on. So it requires sincerity on the part of the president and his appointees and the security agencies to curb the menace. Otherwise, we are all pretending, and by the time we realize, this country will be a non-viable country for all of us to live in.
Even as we talk about the way forward, so when you look at the directive that, look, if you're found complicit, you'll get between 15 and 20 years, and that is non-negotiable. Is it a stiff penalty enough? In the past, people have said that the penalties are simply not stiff enough. Is this the way to go?
For me, it is not simply the number of years that you actually stipulate in law, 20 years, 25 years. It is the strict application of the law. And when people are actually arrested, it is important in terms of government communication around this issue. It is important that we keep a focus on what happened to those who have been arrested, how they are investigated, how they are brought before the judges, and the sanctions that are meted to them. That is what will deter people. So it is not just stipulating in law that you go to jail for 25 years. If you have that in the law and nobody goes to jail over a period, it will not deter people from going into illegal activities. Let's see a heavyweight, a party chairman or a party general secretary or a chief being brought before the law and being put before bar. All of us will fall in line.
Let me come to you, Mr. Hussaini, on same. I mean, moving forward and looking at the president's directive that people found complicit should get between 15 and 20 years. Stiff a penalty enough? And what else should we be doing moving forward?
So in fighting a menace, in fighting an illegality, in trying to restore sanity, you need a cocktail of measures. You need a cocktail of measures. You can box yourself into silos. So you have the law. So the law was amended and made punishment made stiffer. There is stop the fight? No. Has anybody been prosecuted under the law? No. Even when there was opportunity to prosecute people under the law, we choose to prosecute those people under fraud by false pretenses. Clearly, when there was evidence that somebody was mining the forest reserve and so was committing illegality, we choose to warn that person to stay off instead of arresting that person. And so, yes, you can amend the law and keep them on the status quo, and nothing happens. And then you can always go and say that I've amended the law to make it different. So what purpose? Now, I say a cocktail of measures because I seriously believe, and well, I will not take anything away from what Dr. Mantino has said. That yes, indeed, when I was land minister and we were able to remove a lot of foreigners from the side, from the mining side, these same complaints were the complaints we had at Tumpa on the face. The same complaints, and when you go and read a report by citizens of South Africa, the same complaint. But it doesn't justify those activities. The complaints don't justify the fact that we should continue to engage in small-scale mining. it's more.
Hello, Mr. Hussaini? We seem to be losing your connection, Mr. Hussaini. Can you hear me? Well, it appears the connection to Mr. Hussaini is not so good right now. We'll try to get him back for his final take. Dr. Manteyao, so moving forward, yes, we've explored, but what are some of the things that you would like to see in the immediate term, especially as the presidency has come out now to say, look, we want you to work hand in glove with us so that we stem the tide of galamsey. What are the things you want to see in the next few months before the year ends and maybe by the start of next year to ensure that some action really is being brought to bear?
Well, first and foremost, I think government developed a master plan in trying to deal with this problem. And to this end, we, as a country, have received some financing from the World Bank involving multiple agencies in the sector to try to curb the menace. We want to see how we implement this master plan, and we want periodic updates in terms of what progress we are making. But on matters of criminality, I mean, those who are complicit in these activities and all that, I think enough of the window dressing. We need to get more serious, and we need to hold people criminally liable when they actually flout the rules. And what we need to actually set examples. It is only the examples, like I keep emphasizing, it's only examples that will deter people. If I know there will be no consequences for my flouting of the rules on illegal mining, then of course I will be emboldened to engage in it. So going forward, I think we want to see more action than the talk.
More action than talk. Dr. Manteyao, we're grateful that you took the time to join us. And that is Dr. Steve Manteyao, a policy analyst. Mr. Hussaini, we lost you at a point. You could just go back to the thoughts you were sharing at the tail end of your submission and then give us conclusively. So moving forward in the next few months, what do we do to make the talk walk?
Right, I was just saying that you need a cocktail of measures. But at the helm of the cocktail of measures, a primary responsibility is the enforcement of the laws of the country. That's the primary responsibility. That's a solemn oath the president took, and we must hold him by the solemn oath to enforce the laws of the country. Now, enforcing the laws means holding people accountable. If people have been found to be complicit in illegal small-scale mining, hold them accountable. The fact that you are holding them accountable will serve as a deterrent to people who are thinking of getting into the activity. We need less talk and more action. Less talk and more action. And in fact, Dr. Manteyao says, and it's true, that between 2017 and 2018, when there was total ban on small-scale mining, Ghana exported the highest quantity of gold from the small-scale mining sector, 2 million ounces. The World Bank, the Bank of Ghana put it at $10 billion. $10 billion. How did that happen? How did that happen? So let's begin to hold people accountable. Let the security do their work. They go behind people and try to understand what activities they are engaged in and whether they are breaching the laws of the country. Let's recruit members to tell us who are engaged in illegal small-scale mining. Let's hold the Minerals Commission responsible because they are giving the leases and closing their eyes and refusing to monitor the mining site. And then we might be getting somewhere.
And then we might be getting somewhere. We're grateful for your time, Inusaf Hussaini. Thank you for joining the conversation. And that's a former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. Of course, the conversation continues, and in the coming days, weeks, and months, we'll find out whether the talk will actually walk as far as the presidency has put out there. We take a breather. When we return, more action on the AM show. Stay. Welcome back on the AM show, and we're going to be talking about something interesting. How often do you eat eggs? I know many Ghanaian dishes find a way to actually incorporate eggs. For me, it's the usual nkosiane meko. Yeah. But how much do you know about their benefits? Today we'll be talking about the Extra O campaign. It's not the first time we're coming to you, but today it's going to be special. Joining us for this conversation, Ndidi Fojo. She is a project lead Extra O campaign. There's also Anthony Osuansa, CEO, Shack Express. Anthony, Ndidi, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Let's start off on a lighter note. Your name, I've always wondered about it since this isn't the first time we're interacting. Ndidi, what does it mean?
A good thing.
A good thing?
Yeah.
Oh, so like the Proverbs,
yeah.
A good thing.
Proverbs 31, woman.
Yeah, Proverbs 31. I see.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just by the by. Let's talk about eggs and what they present to all of us. You've been on this Extra O campaign for a while now, Ndidi. Tell us a bit about why we should even be excited about eggs.
So, good morning, viewers. The whole motivation for the Extra O campaign is to bring the consumers the good news about the benefits, the health and nutritional benefits of eggs. I know Ghanaians love eggs. We've even been nicknamed the egg country by Nigerians and other African countries. They always tease us for adding eggs to literally anything. But many people do not know why they are eating the eggs. They probably just eat it for eating sake. So we know that eggs are good in protein. They are very rich in protein. But do we know that they have calcium? They have essential amino acids. They have good cholesterol that is good for your heart. Do you know that eating eggs while you're pregnant is good for your baby's brain development? It will help with the mother meat hair, daily protein needs. So these are the things that we are bringing your way with the Extra O campaign.
Let me ask you, is it just chicken eggs? Because some people would then, there are quail eggs on the market and all of that. So what's the focus of this campaign? Chicken eggs.
Chicken eggs.
Okay.
Other ones have benefits, but that's not our focus.
Okay.
For now.
So you've told us a bit about why we need this campaign about eggs, and you've told us a bit about the benefits as well. But this campaign has been running for a while.
Yes.
How long is this specific phase going to run?
Okay, so we launched the campaign in March,
okay,
and it's going to run till the end of the year.
Till the end of the year?
Till the end of the year, till December.
So it's basically like a 9-10 month project?
Yes, basically. We have done a series of school visits. We've gone to rural areas where we showed them a movie we produced. It's called the Exciting Egg Festival. You can find it on YouTube. It tells you all about eggs, the benefits, how to cook them, and all of that. What we have planned for the next couple of months till the campaign runs out is school, church visits, mosque visits, other egg nights.
So you're reaching out now to religious groupings?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we have a few more road shows. Our road show is called the Egg Night Road Show. So we have a few
Night Road Show.
A few more of those left. And then we have something special that Anthony will be talking to you about. It's Extra O Food Invasion happening next month. But I'll leave that to him.
Actually, that's my very next question. So the Extra O Food Invasion. Let's talk a bit about that before I find out why you even decided to partner the Little Cow on this extravaganza. Over to you, Anthony.
Thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers. So for Shack Express, this is our maiden event, the food festival. And the idea behind the food invasion was to bring the food vendors and then the food lovers together. So we want to build a community where we can interact. I'm sure today you order food on platforms and you don't know who is behind the restaurant, you don't interact with them, it's only digital. So we want to build that community. And in building that community, we thought that we should add to it a message. There should be some level of education, there should be some level of healthy living awareness. And we had already worked with the Little Cow on the previous campaign. So this time around, we reached out to them and said, this is what we want to do, and we want to add the educational bit of it, the good healthy living bit of it. And then they were already on an Extra O campaign. So we said, okay, how about we marry the two?
Right.
The food invasion and Extra O.
So you jumped aboard. Has it been worth it?
It's worth it. And so far, I have personally learned a few things I didn't know about egg myself. So
right.
Said some myth around the daily consumption of egg that I'm learning, I'm picking up whilst we jump.
Maybe you could share some of those myths. People will tell you that, if you consume more than 2 in a day or this or that, there could be consequences, but science will prove that oftentimes those are simply not correct. There are so many myths in our part of the world about eggs. You hear them on the streets and they tell you, if you consume 2, it's going to lead to this and that. Some of them I can't mention on there.
So it's that misinformation that we are trying to correct. So
it's part of
it's part of
the project.
Education.
Right.
So we usually travel with nutrition officers from the Ghana Health Service. They are qualified and licensed to speak on these issues, but I've picked up a few from working with them. So, for example, the idea that eating eggs cause cholesterol, will give you high cholesterol, is false. Because the kind of cholesterol that eggs contain is the good kind.
Good cholesterol, right.
And it's actually good for your heart health. Also, some myths around that if children eat eggs, they'll become thieves.
They'll become what? Okay, that I don't think.
That's probably new to you, but it's popular up north.
Oh,
it's something that the Ghana National Egg Campaign Secretariat discovered in their past years of work. And that came from the idea that when you're trying to build your, most families keep their own chicken here and there, one goat and something to take care of the family. So they don't want a child to go pick up the egg and fry it. They want it to be hatched and then grow the poultry business. So they came up with it that don't pick it, you become a thief. Don't pick it, you become a thief. And then
it's now become
something else. So they don't give children eggs. And it's a bad idea because children are they
actually need eggs.
They actually need it more than we do. So
we're busting the myths as well, taking advantage of the situation to bust those myths. And in case you didn't know it, there is good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. Not all cholesterol is bad. In fact, the body does need cholesterol, but you must be mindful which ones you're consuming. And those from eggs are good for your body. But back to you, Anthony. So November the 4th and 5th are, crucial days as far as this extravaganza or extra food invasion is concerned. Tell us a bit about what activities we can expect.
Okay, so on the 4th and 5th of November, for the 4th, it starts from 12 noon to 12 midnight, and on the 5th, it starts from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. And on the 4th, which is the Friday, we are looking at bringing so much activities, karaoke to games to comic show to even after the dark. We have something called after the dark, it's a party, so where you come to jam and have fun. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. On Saturday.
All with eggs.
Come again?
All with eggs involved.
All with eggs involved. Yes. Purely egg motivated. And on Saturday, which is more like a family thing, you come with a family. So we have a kids setup, bouncy castle. We have the trampoline. We have all these activities. We'll have also a setup to educate people on the consumption and use of eggs. We also have what's the other thing? Why do I keep forgetting?
Educational session.
No, I've already mentioned the education session. But we have a lot of activities packed on Friday and Saturday. Friday is more
world egg record.
Yes, thank you. Yes. So we're trying to do a world record to break the number of eggs consumed at a go.
By a group of people.
By a group of people. Yes.
Okay.
So we're trying to.
What's the current world record?
So this is not official. It's something we want to do.
We will break. We are yet to pick the specific one, but we will attempt to break multiple egg records on that day. So, for example, the number of eggs that have been stacked on top of each other currently are 3.
Okay.
Yes.
So you'd want to break that?
Yeah, we want to
something like that.
Like some sort of competition for people to attempt breaking that.
Yes. Even to carry egg on a certain. We have certain activities.
Lime and spoon.
Yeah. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
It will be fun, and that's for Saturday. So Saturday is more like a packed activity because then everybody is around. And Friday is for both is eating and all that, but Friday is more like let's party, let's jam, good music, good people, that kind of thing. Saturday we do more of egg activities on Saturday.
I'm interested in the eating part, unashamedly so. I just might. But so even as we talk about this, I'm sure those watching us are wondering, how much do tickets go for? Which vendors will be on show and all of that. How much is a ticket going for?
So for you, just walking free and eat. It's actually free for everybody who comes in.
Oh.
Yeah, it's free for everyone.
You made it, come.
Just come and eat.
Come and let's have an extra food invasion. So that's great. But how do you sponsor all of this? I'm interested. So people come and, if some of us come when we are doing Nkosianimeko, I don't know whether it happens to you, but sometimes, for example, I do my Saturday hike and all of that. Sometimes boys, you can, when you get down to it like that, you're stopping now. You can take 3, 4.
Some even go more than
5. So how are you supporting all of this?
Entry is free,
okay.
But of course you pay for what you eat.
Okay.
But
that's the catch.
Of course.
Okay.
So you pay for what you eat, but you're free to come. Okay. Please come with some money in your pocket. So that's...
enjoy. And the food are very affordable. We have great
reasonably
vendors.
Priced.
Great vendors. We have vendors on the Shark Express app and those off the Shark Express app. And we have different delicacies, different varieties of food. So you will love what you eat, you will love what you see. Yeah. And it's not only food vendors, we have also non-food vendors as well.
Okay.
That will be present. Yeah.
All right. So to both of you, before I take your final comments, how can people access more information about the Extra O food invasion? I'll start with you, Ndidi.
So for all information, go to @extra_O or Food Invasion Ghana on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
And extra is EGGSTRA.
Yeah.
You have to make that
O. EGGSTRA _O.
Okay. And
then Food Invasion.
Yeah. So Food Invasion on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also go on the sharkexpress.com website, and you have access to every information that you need there.
Any number you can be reached on? Maybe just one number you can put out?
So you can reach us on 055 718 7855.
Would you like to repeat that?
055 718 7855.
Okay. I also see people can reach you on 0540 128 001. 0540 128 001. All right, final comments. I'll start with you, Anthony. Have you had your...
No, he can go first.
Okay, you go.
Okay, so for 4th and 5th, I would tell your viewers to lock it on your calendar. And for 4th, when you close from work, you just pass through Mofra Place, Jowulu. Come and have good food, good music, interact, network, and enjoy the community of food lovers. On Saturday, come with your family. Spend good time around food, good time around games, good time around a lot of fun-packed activities, and let's enjoy. We are all food lovers. I love food, and I'm sure you do love food. Come and enjoy the variety and the delicious food you see there.
Thank you, Anthony. How about you, Ndidi?
Okay, so first, I just want you to remember that eating eggs are good for you. There are so many health benefits, nutritional benefits you will derive from feeding your family eggs, from the mother to the children, grandparents, husband, everyone. Make sure you eat at least an egg a day. Now, on the 4th and 5th of November at Imofra Park, Jowulu, we'll have the Extra O food invasion. Put it on your calendars, make a reminder, put a sticky note somewhere. Make sure you come through. You're going to have so much fun with your friends, your family. Come, let's have fun. Come and learn all about eggs. We will personally be giving out free eggs to everyone who comes. Only the eggs are free. Everything else, come ready to buy and enjoy yourself. So 4th and 5th November at Imofra Park, Jowulu, Extra O food invasion, be there.
All right, I just like the way she parried that immediately, The eggs are free, but everything else will. But it's going to be fun, definitely, for your families. I'm sure the kids would also have loads of fun. And Mofra Place, of course, another beautiful place for children. So make a date, 4th and the 5th of November. Join Ndidi, Anthony, and who knows, I just might show up there as well to have my egg parade. It's all about the Extra O food invasion. Thank you both for joining us on the AM show. And have a good one.
You too.
It's part of the record break.
You have to come and look for me. And
now I'm thinking what exactly I'm going to be doing. Which one? Swallow more eggs?
You can do the
whole eggs?
Whole.
That could be something.
Try that.
We have to Google the Guinness World Record
and
see whether I could just break it. But from there, we'll be getting into other issues. We're going to actually have an interaction, hopefully, on the latest flooding on the ground. We'll also activate the phone lines and hear from you. All of that after the break. Do stay. Welcome back on the AM show. My colleague Maxwell Agbagba is on ground in respect of the latest Wager Dam flooding situation. Maxwell, over to you.
Inside in water, you can see that canoe over there, a man paddling his canoe over there using it. We're told that is the mode of transportation now for a majority of the residents. Another thing that we've seen here also is the electricity pylons here. Also, many of them also currently in water. For the past 48 hours, these communities that you see in your pictures do not actually have electricity. For the past 48 hours, they have been without electricity, understandably so, because some of the ECG transformers are still in water, although the water is receding. Some of the transformers are still in water, and we're told that it would be very dangerous for the Electricity Company of Ghana to restore power supply. I have someone here with me I'm going to interact with. He's a resident, another resident here, also here with me. Yeah, so join me. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to JoyNews. Can you turn this way for me? Yeah. So, can you tell us, how were you affected by the flood?
This flood has really evacuated a lot of people, and this situation is beyond control by the people of Wager Municipal Assembly. It's one of the heaviest flood we've ever experienced in our community. People have lost most of their properties, and heavy damages have happened to people. Young kids and other family members couldn't play their activities, going to work, going to school. We couldn't have all these activities very displayed. The electricity lights have been off for several days, and people have lost their groceries and other stuffs.
Personally, did you lose anything?
Yes, for me, my site is different, but my friends out here in the community, because I have to show much concern to them, because I'm a patronate citizen of this country, Ghana. And for me, what I want to see is a social transformation, a better Ghana agenda for this community.
Okay, let me speak to you. Sir, what's your name?
Abedi David Lavi.
Okay, you were telling me that many of the school children in this community are unable to go to school.
Yes, those who are going to government school and preparatory school at Wager cannot cross the river. Why? Because the 4 panels of the dam have been opened, and the pressure is too very high, so they can't use the canoe to cross.
Okay.
They are in their houses. But those who can go to school at this residential area, Igbe Town, can go. So the others are in the house. Then those who used to board vehicle from Wager to Abosokan, Kaneshie, Accra, too cannot cross. So unless they walk to the ACC Junction before they board vehicle to their workplace.
Okay. Is this the first time you've seen something like this?
Well, it has happened before, but it wasn't too pathetic like this. It wasn't too pathetic like this. This one's very, very dangerous.
Okay.
Yes. Because if you watch around, storey buildings have buried down. Yeah. There's some of the short buildings to the windows levels. So all have evacuated from their houses.
So what do you think is the solution to this?
I think.
What would you suggest?
Yes, I think the drainage lines have to be re-expanded. And then I think the NADMO has to come to this service of these people, because they have right to life. And what I also think the Navy also have to come and collaborate with the...
They've been on the ground. The Navy has been on the ground. NADMO also has been on the ground. Marine Police also has been on the ground. And we know that they're still trying working to help people who are affected by this flood.
Yes, I've witnessed some. I've witnessed Commander yesterday at the scene spot, and then with some police officers overnight up to 12 and the NADMO team. They are doing the best for Mother Ghana, the country we love most and want to see a transformation. Okay. But what I see in advance is after this flooding situation, the drainage lines has to be expanded. And the country...
You mean the drainage that connects to the ocean? Yeah. And then you want it to be desilted, dredged, so that when the spillways are opened, it would get easy access. The water will get easy access into the ocean, so it wouldn't flood homes like this one.
Yes, that's what we want to see.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're always welcome. Thank you.
Benjamin, that's what's...
Let me tell you something.
Okay, tell me.
Let me tell you, we Ghanaians, we are one of the first countries in Africa to gain independence. We are learned people. Why you know that this place is a waterlogged area, you buy land and build? I'm a typical Guan, I'm a Kwapem, assistant and Edukrom respectively, but I was born and breastfeeded in Accra. My father is a journalist, retired from Ghana News Agency. You get me? You know that the place is waterlogged. Look at the way you build heavy houses. Now, are you going to stay there? Are you going to take your money from the king back? In praying, Mamma came up in Chinchamusi. Ghana from Bua, Masuya Ding. Me matra 24 years ni. The nyam from Subia me baby I met me nyam from Subia. Munu musa has in su asase. Na musumo tontase or na musidang. Then we me by me nika me na ase o. Me na mfo o nsu ni mu. Hanka eba critical e se me dware na mko yi won. Because me say me trampo ano.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Okay,
thank you very much for speaking to us. So this is the community where we are, and it's very hilly, so we can have a good view of the structures downstream. Now, what is worrying is that some of these buildings that you're seeing in the background are actually in a waterway. And the Ghana Water Company Limited has been explaining that anytime they open their spillways, it's likely the structures, these buildings are going to be affected because majority of them are in the waterway, and then also they have constructed the structures in the buffer. So some of these buildings are not supposed to be there in the first place. And that is contributing to the enormity of what we've seen here so far. But the Ghana Water Company Limited has been explaining that if the water level keeps rising beyond the maximum level, beyond 40 feet, they will still have to continue, spilling. And as we understand now, they're still spilling, and they are telling us that if it reaches undesirable levels, they still would have to spill, irrespective of the flooding situation that we're seeing with many homes flooded, schools, churches, shops, all of them closed, in these areas because many of them, have been flooded. The good news, however, is that because some of the channels have been, dredged, some of them have been desilted through the efforts of NADMO, we've seen the water levels subsiding in many areas. But when you visit those places, you still see the watermark at a very high level. And even from here, I can still see the watermark at a very high level, water subsiding in many areas. But in other places also, we still have, the water not really going down to desirable levels as many of the residents, would want to see. But it is better than what we saw, on Tuesday when we came, and then on Wednesday, also what, we saw. Hopefully by the weekend, it should go down completely. But the Electricity Company of Ghana is saying that until things improve and the conditions here become better, until we get some level of dry land, it will be dangerous for them to restore electricity supply to all of these communities that you're seeing, more than 48 hours, they have been without electricity.
Colleague there coming to us all the way from Wager. And of course, as you can see in your shot, houses that have been overtaken by flood waters on the back of that spillage from the Wager Dam. Churches, mosques, schools, housing facilities, all of them inundated by this flooding situation. And there could be more to come if the water levels get very high at the dam. The last we were told it was over 49 feet, when in fact it should take a maximum of just about 45 feet. And hopefully there will be some resolution to this matter. And that is how we cap off the show. But before we go, hello Ghana, happy moment is here. Let's storm World Cup Qatar 2022 with Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water from Casapreco Company Limited. Simply buy your favorite Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water. Text the 4-digit unique number on the neck of the bottle to short code *780#. Choose option 2 and follow the prompts on all networks for free. You could be one of the lucky winners to go to this year's World Cup in the monthly draw. You could also win TVs, fridges, microwave ovens, mobile phones, home theaters, free drinks, and more instantly. So don't waste any time. Grab a bottle of Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water, and let's storm Qatar this World Cup. This promotion is on the NLA Caritas platform. This advert is FDA approved. Do remember, terms and conditions do apply. And right before I go, I'd like to celebrate one of our own fantastic human being, one of our directors here on the AM show and other shows as well, Yao Forson. Today is your birthday. We can only wish you the very best in life and pray that you'll continue being your affable self. God richly bless you and happy birthday. On that happy note, I leave you this Thursday morning. Do have a good day and stay with us. Up next, Joy News Desk.